Chapter 764. As Xiao Chen looked at the stone door made of heavenly cloud rock, he remained unmoved. He said calmly, "You can give me the alchemic recipe for the breaking sage pill now, right?" Strange. Is this lady's charm really not comparable to that little fox's? Naturally, Nangong Qiong did not care about a breaking sage pill. However, when she saw Xiao Chen offend Yan Shisan for Bai's sake, she felt somewhat upset. She wanted to test Xiao Chen. Who knew, he would be so uncooperative. However, this was just a girl's own thoughts. It was not about liking or disliking someone. Xiao Chen received the breaking sage pill, and his heart thumped heavily. However, his expression did not change, not letting Nangong Qiong see anything suspicious. When Xiao Chen arrived before the heavenly cloud rock door, he burned his vital qi. His bones gave off crackling sounds as he clenched his right fist tightly. When Xiao Chen felt the energy contained in his fist, he shouted and punched. Fist winds howled like thunder. The heavenly cloud rock shattered into countless fragments by Xiao Chen, scattering everywhere. A strange light flashed in Nangong Qiong's eyes. She casually waved her hand, and all the rocks flying at her were blown to the side. Chi! At the moment when the stone door was broken, an ear-piercing cry came from inside. The sharp cry contained a dense emperor's might that entered one's sea of consciousness. The strength of the emperor's might was not something the painting pieces outside could compare to. Caught off guard, Xiao Chen could not help taking a few steps back. He circulated his mental energy with all his might before he managed to block this emperor's might and recover. On the other hand, Nangong Qiong seemed to have expected this. When Xiao Chen retreated, she advanced instead of retreating, entering the central control room behind the stone door first. Huh. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. I knew that this would be the result. Nangong Qiong's somewhat cold voice came from inside. Xiao Chen went forward to take a look and discovered a corpse lying at the foot of the wall in the control room filled with all sorts of formations. The blood on the corpse's lips had yet to dry, and its eyes were wide open, filled with dissatisfaction. It was the young master of the Tianping race, Mingyu. Above the stone room, a heavenly rock formed by the core painting piece spread its wings and circled around. A faint light spread out, and an emperor's might spread throughout the entire stone room. If Zhang Xian was not wrong, Mingyu must have died from the backlash of eating the map fragment due to his lack of strength. Young Master Xiao, can you help me subdue this core map piece? Nangong Qiong smiled as she walked over to Xiao Chen. It seemed that he had never said that he would give her the core map fragment. The transaction between the two of them ended the moment Nangong Qiong handed over the breaking sage pill and Xiao Chen helped her open the heaven cloud stone door. Puchi! Just as Xiao Chen was about to reply, Nangong Qiong, who was in front of Xiao Chen, suddenly made a move. The heavenly sage laws contained in the sage great umbrella danced around wildly. Boundless spiritual energy infused into the umbrella, turning into surging quintessence that gave off a dazzling red light. Nangong Qiong attacked without any warning. There was no killing qi or quintessence fluctuation. She was fast, ruthless, and accurate, not holding back at all. She wanted to deal a fatal blow, severely injuring Xiao Chen. However, along the way, Xiao Chen had never let down his guard against her. As long as she got within 10 meters of him, his quintessence would automatically circulate throughout his body, ready to deal with her at any time. The instant Nangong Qiong made her move, Xiao Chen's body moved almost at the same time, quickly retreating to the back. When Xiao Chen's feet landed on the ground, they gave off extremely unpleasant screeching sounds. He left behind afterimages wherever he went. The umbrella was like a sword, piercing forward and shattering the afterimages. Nangong Qiong's expression turned cold as she chased relentlessly. Xiao Chen had reached the wall behind him, so he could not retreat for long. Indeed, Xiao Chen could not retreat. However, he had never thought of retreating from the very start. He only wanted to put some distance between himself and Nangong Qiong, luring her to continue chasing. The rebound from the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram at close range was not easy to endure. Two beams of light flew out of Xiao Chen's eyes, one purple and one white. The lights chased each other, forming a primal chaos Taiji diagram. The 4 divisions of the sky and the 8 trigrams appeared around the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. The yin-yang flame diagram encompassed the entire world. Bang! The tip of the umbrella crashed into the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Suddenly, a golden light shone, and a vast energy surged out, crushing several of the decorations in the control room into powder. The spiritual heavenly rock above felt a dangerous aura. It spread its wings and flew through the stone door. An even more surging quintessence bounced back at Nangong Cheong from the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Nangong Cheong's pupils constricted, and blood leaked out of a corner of her lips. She went flying back with a pale complexion. Nangong Cheong pushed off the wall and opened the wooden umbrella. Her pale face looked at the slowly fading Taiji yin-yang flame diagram in shock. "Young Master Xiao, it looks like you are really unromantic. To think that you are willing to be so ruthless to a weak girl like me. You have truly broken this lady's heart." Nangong Cheong wiped off the blood on her lips and revealed a miserable smile on her pretty face. Xiao Chen smiled coldly to himself. If not for the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram, even if he used the sage-grade pagoda at full power, he would have been severely injured by that earlier strike, even with his strong physical body. If it were another person, that person would have been turned to ashes by that umbrella. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows slightly and smiled. "Miss Nangong's attitude is really good. Despite all your schemes, you still ended up with nothing. Now, not only can you not obtain the core painting piece, but you are also injured. I really want to know why you can still smile." Nangong Cheong revealed an extremely charming smile. Together with her pale face, she looked like the most eye-catching plum blossom in a vast snowy land, extremely beautiful. "Young Master Xiao, don't you feel that there is something wrong with the position you are standing in?" Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. Then, he quickly sized up his surroundings. The stone room could not be considered narrow. Because he had dodged Nangong Cheong's attack earlier, he had retreated to the deepest part of the stone room. Nangong Cheong, who had been chasing after Xiao Chen, was knocked to the top of the stone door by the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Xiao Chen's expression changed, and he immediately figured out the problem. "Huh. It is already too late to figure it out now." Nangong Cheong laughed and put away the wooden umbrella. Then, her feet, which were stuck to the wall, moved slightly, and she flipped around, flying through the stone door. After Nangong Cheong landed, a jade strip appeared in her hand. Then, she quickly formed hand seals. Bang! Following closely behind, Xiao Chen arrived before the stone door like a strong gust of wind. A formless barrier appeared, and Xiao Chen crashed into it miserably, giving off a loud sound. Nangong Cheong put away the jade strip and looked at Xiao Chen, who was knocked back. Then, she rested the wooden umbrella on her shoulder and smiled gently. "Young Master Xiao, if we are fated, we should be able to meet again. Next time, I will do bad things with you. I'm going to subdue the core painting piece. Young Master Xiao, you should cultivate properly in there. Let's see if you can break this barrier that even inferior-grade martial sages cannot break in 100 years. Remember, this lady is called Ing Cheong, not Nangong Cheong." Her bell-like laughter was like a clear stream on a high mountain. Ing Cheong opened the wooden umbrella and gently leaped up, disappearing from Xiao Chen's sight. Inside the immortal spirit ring, Eo Jiao looked at Xiao Chen, who was trapped in the stone room. She felt helpless. After a long time, she said, "Idiot master, I just knew that this woman would sell you out. It is not about selling or not selling." Xiao Chen's face was still somewhat sore. That earlier collision was too fast. He touched the formless barrier and said indifferently, "Schemes are also skills. If my skills are not as good as hers, there is nothing more to say." Xiao Chen did not feel much hatred for Nangong Cheong's actions. From the very start, he knew that this girl was not someone to offend and was not a kind person. Xiao Chen had made preparations long ago. However, He had not expected that he would still fall into this girl's hands and let her snatch away the core painting piece. However, as long as his clothes remained unchanged, he would find this girl sooner or later and make up for this loss. Right now, the most crucial thing was to figure out how to get out. Xiao Chen withdrew his hand, and a grave expression appeared on his delicate face. Myriad Heaven Divine Fist, tenfold combat prowess, deities descending. Suddenly, a bright golden light burst forth from Xiao Chen's body. A beam of divine light entered his body, causing his aura to soar continuously. He was like a deity walking in the mortal world, worshipping all things. Bang! A punch with tenfold combat prowess from deities descending struck the faint light barrier. There was a loud sound, and blood leaked out of a corner of Xiao Chen's mouth. Xiao Chen flew back in an even more miserable state. Some ripples appeared on the formless light barrier before it calmed down. Xiao Chen's qi and blood surged endlessly. The rebound nearly caused internal injuries to all of his internal organs. Xiao Chen finally experienced what it was like to face the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. Young Master Xiao, just stay here and cultivate properly. Even an inferior grade martial sage would not be able to break this barrier. When Xiao Chen recalled Ing Qiong's voice, he could not help but feel somewhat dispirited. Even a punch with tenfold combat prowess did not budge. Could it be that I have to use the strength character formula? The strength character formula increased his combat prowess by 33 times. If I could not break this barrier, the rebound would probably kill me. When Xiao Chen thought of the consequences, he immediately gave up. Since ancient times, geniuses had all sorts of deaths. However, he had never heard of anyone killing themselves. He did not want to be the first. Xiao Chen recovered from his injuries and said, "It looks like I will have to stay here for a long time." Ao Jiao smiled gently and said, "You are really optimistic. Do you really think that you can break through to martial sage before you starve to death? There is always a way out. There will always be a way out. Furthermore, I do not have to cultivate to martial sage. After I am a half-sage, I should be able to execute deities descending." Xiao Chen tidied up and took out a prayer mat from his universe ring. Then, he took out a few superior-grade spirit-gathering pearls and entered a state of cultivation. The 1,000-year-old white nascent fruit that Xiao Chen consumed previously still had medicinal energy lingering in the depths of his bloodline. As long as he entered a state of cultivation, it would slowly take effect. The effects were not as intense as they were initially. However, it allowed Xiao Chen to achieve twice the results with half the effort. His cultivation improved rapidly. Right now, Xiao Chen was already a middle-stage superior-grade martial monarch. When he used up all the remaining medicinal energy, he should be able to advance to late-stage superior-grade martial monarch. At that time, when he cultivated to peak late-stage superior-grade martial monarch and used the 30-odd painting pieces, he would definitely be able to break through to half-sage in one go. Chapter 765. Therefore, Xiao Chen was quite optimistic about his future. Half a month later, a group of uninvited guests suddenly appeared in the desert outside the Star Grave Palace. These people wore black robes and radiated baleful auras. Their cultivations were deep and strong. All of them were actually loose cultivators. Furthermore, none of them were weaker than Wu Yuankai. There were more than 30 of them. With such a strong force working together, aside from Enjuanshi, any of the 7 giants of the Tianwu domain would have to retreat. The person in the lead was Xian Yu of the Silver Moon Fox clan. At this moment, his face was dark and his handsome face was terrifying. There was no trace of his usual gentleness. Xiao! A figure flew down from the sky. It was Xian Yu's second uncle. After leaving the Star Tomb Palace, this person had been guarding outside and had not left. Xian Yu looked at the huge palace grave and said, "Second uncle, it's been half a month. Is that white-robed brat really not out yet?" "It's absolutely true. I've been guarding for half a month, but I haven't seen him at all. The woman who was with him has already come out, but he still hasn't come out." Xian Yu could not help feeling surprised. The Heavenly Rock Race's people had already emptied out all the treasures in the Star Grave Palace. They had also searched through all the painting pieces. The place was now completely empty. What was Xiao Chen doing in there? Could it be that he wanted to take away this grave palace? This was the grave palace of a sovereign martial emperor. Unless Emperor Wu came, he would not be able to erase the Heavenly Rock King's mark. Forget it. He will come out sooner or later. I don't believe he can hide forever. Xian Yu's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He wanted nothing more than to kill Xiao Chen and tear him into pieces. After leaving the palace grave, Bai's attitude toward him became even colder. Before, he would say a few words to him out of politeness. Now, he didn't even say a word. Bai had magic skills and was valued by the Fox King. He had many pursuers, but Xian Yu always felt that the pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first. In his heart, Bai would be his sooner or later. Who knew that after he met Xiao Chen, he would suffer all kinds of setbacks, which made him feel that there was a serious gap in his arrogance. After leaving the Star Grave Palace, he could no longer suppress his desire to kill Xiao Chen. After discussing it with his second uncle, he immediately received his second uncle's support. After spending a large sum of money to invite most of the half-sages in the vicinity of Hunluo province and informing Xiao Chen that he had more than 60 emperor's painting pieces, the group of half-sages was extremely tempted. The middle-aged man glanced behind him at the overwhelming baleful aura, the red light of heavenly sage laws, and the many loose cultivators behind him. After some thought, Xian Yu said, "Xian Yu, even if these people work together to kill him, there will be no problem. However, if that person steels himself to flee, he might still have a chance of survival." The corners of Xian Yu's mouth curled up slightly as he sneered, "I've already notified my father. He agreed to send a senior elder over. At that time, if this person is unable to kill that brat, that senior elder will personally take action." Xian Yu's clan had some power in the Silver Moon Spirit Fox race. All the senior elders in the clan were at least inferior-grade martial sages. Before a martial sage, no matter how strong Xiao Chen was, he would not be able to do anything. When the middle-aged man heard this, he was stunned at first. Then, he smiled and said, "It looks like the clan head is an understanding person. As long as you can truly obtain Bai and establish a connection with the Fox King, this bit of capital is definitely worth it. Second uncle, should we charge in directly? Waiting like this will be too passive." "Absolutely not. The Grave Palace is too big. After we enter, these people will immediately scatter. That will give that brat an opportunity to counterattack." Xian Yu nodded and said, "I never thought of that. In that case, let's just wait here and wait for him to come out. It would be best if the senior elder does not make a move. That way, even if something happens, we can push the blame onto a group of loose cultivators. That way, the Haotian sect will not come looking for trouble." Another half a month passed. Xiao Chen slowly opened his eyes from his cultivation. After 1 month of bitter cultivation and exhausting all the spirit-gathering pearls on him, he finally advanced to peak late-stage superior-grade martial monarch. He was only one step shy of advancing to half-sage. The most important thing was that Xiao Chen had completely calmed down. From the time he left the Haotian sect until now, he had not stopped for even a moment. First, he had fought with ferocious beasts in the savage beast forest. Then, he had pitted his wits against 2 old fellows. Finally, he had offended the magnificent Fiend Hall for some reason. After arriving at this Star Grave Palace, Xiao Chen had been fighting non-stop. He had even run into a woman comparable to a spirit. One could say that he was constantly on high alert. Although he was trapped in this small stone room, outsiders could not enter. It could be considered an absolutely safe place. Xiao Chen could calm down and reflect on his experiences in the past 3 months. He did not need to think about anything else. Dragons were trapped in a dangerous land with no way out. However, if one looked at it from another perspective, a dangerous land might be a blessed land. For days later, Xiao Chen sorted out all the comprehensions and experiences he had gained in the past few months. While his cultivation did not increase, his pitch-black eyes appeared even deeper. His accumulations had become much more stable. With a flip of his hand, a painting piece of the great rock spreading wings appeared in Xiao Chen's hand. He muttered to himself, "It is time to absorb this painting piece and advance to half-sage." The great rock spreading wings painting was the comprehension that the heavenly rock king, a sovereign fiend emperor, materialized before his death. It contained the emperor's might and strong heavenly laws of a powerful expert. Although this was only a painting piece in Xiao Chen's hand and not the core painting piece, it was still worth cities, a treasure that could tempt even martial sages. Xiao Chen held the painting piece and sat down cross-legged. Then, he started to carefully comprehend the various mysteries contained in it. As Xiao Chen's consciousness slowly sank into it, he felt like he was in a vast and boundless scene. When Xiao Chen looked at it directly, the scene was hazy and ever-changing. He could not make out what it was at all. Was it a desert, was it a vast ocean, was it the sky, or was it a boundless starry sky? Xiao Chen could only feel the vastness, the boundless vastness. When he was in it, he felt like he was not even a drop in the ocean. He was so insignificant that he could not even describe it. Voices resounded in the primal chaos. Those voices seemed to be muttering to themselves, but they also seemed to be lecturing their relatives and juniors, as well as their comprehension and understanding of the martial Tao. The information was chaotic, turning into thousands of beams of light of different colors. They flew before Xiao Chen's eyes, weaving together. This made it hard for him to choose. Xiao Chen, focus your mind. Ignore the white beams of light. Those are the trifling matters of the heavenly rock king's life. Ignore the black beams of light as well. Those are the dark side of the heavenly rock king. You are not an evil cultivator. If you try to grab them, your mind will be in chaos. Don't touch the red beams of light either. That is the heavenly rock king's evil chi. Even if you try to grab them, you will not gain anything. The purple beams of light are the heavenly rock king's comprehensions of some martial techniques. You can grab them, but you cannot blindly grab them. There are very few blue beams of light, but you cannot miss them. That is the heavenly rock king's cultivation. After you obtain them, you can directly increase your cultivation. There are even fewer golden beams of light, but you cannot miss them. That is the heavenly rock king's heavenly laws. After you obtain them, you can directly comprehend heavenly sage laws. You only have 3 chances to make a move before the painting piece runs out of energy and disappears from the world. Just as Xiao Chen was at a loss, Ao Jiao's voice rang out in his mind, explaining the meaning of the various beams of light. The thousands of beams of light slowly became clearer. Xiao Chen's expression also calmed down as he started to observe carefully. Most of the beams of light were white, at least 90%. Next were black and red. There were very few beams of light that were truly useful. As for the golden beams of light, Xiao Chen could only see a blurry figure. He could not be sure if there were any. Whoosh! After observing for a long time, Xiao Chen finally made a move. He caught a purple beam of light in his hand. In that instant, he gained some knowledge of spear techniques. He could not help but feel disappointed. Xiao Chen practiced saber techniques and fist techniques. Spear techniques were only of some use to him. This was equivalent to wasting an opportunity. The second time Xiao Chen made a move, he wanted to catch a blue beam of light. In the end, he was too slow and caught a white beam of light. Some of the heavenly rock king's trivial matters appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. He had wasted another opportunity. There was only one opportunity. Xiao Chen focused all his attention. As he looked at the thousands of beams of light dancing around before him, he no longer dared to make a move casually. After thinking for a long time, Xiao Chen made a move at lightning speed. However, he caught nothing. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and the painting piece in his hand turned into motes of light. Then, they rose into the air and slowly disappeared. A painting piece had been wasted just like that. Xiao Chen could not help feeling that it was a pity. He said, "There are too many chaotic beams of light. It looks like the emperor's painting pieces are overrated." Ao Jiao smiled and said, "It is not that incredible in the first place. Didn't you see that Nangong girl? She did not even look at these painting pieces. The true essence is all in the core painting piece. Even with more than 100 painting pieces added together, they are not as valuable as one core painting piece." It looked like Xiao Chen had suffered a great loss this time. He had crushed his way here, sweeping through the place. After working so hard for so long, that girl took away the bulk of it. However, never mind. After all, he had 30 painting pieces. He had plenty of opportunities to familiarize himself with them. He was much better than those who only had 4 or 5 painting pieces or 1 painting piece. Following that, Xiao Chen continued absorbing the painting pieces. With his first experience, Xiao Chen was much more accustomed to the same situation the second time. After using up 10 painting pieces, Xiao Chen finally caught hold of 2 beams of blue light. Ka Xie. It seemed like a formless bottleneck in his body had been broken. With a huang dang sound, the shackles broke. His body, which was a container, became 10 times larger than before. He could vaguely see a flickering door in his body, about to open. That was the door of sages. Once it opened, he would be able to transcend mortality and become a martial sage. After that, no matter where he went in the Kunlun realm, he would be an overlord. This door had blocked many demonic geniuses. To Xiao Chen, it was still too far away. There was no need to think too much about it. Just being able to see it was already pretty good. I finally advanced to half-sage. When Xiao Chen opened his eyes, he revealed an expression of joy. He had refined his quintessence twice in each of the 3 grades of martial monarch. His foundation was already incredibly firm. If not for this, he would have advanced to half-sage long ago. He would not have needed to wait so long. However, now that he had accumulated enough, the benefits he gained far surpassed that of ordinary people. The moment Xiao Chen advanced to half-sage, he saw that hazy door of sages. Since ancient times, not many geniuses had managed to do this. Chapter 766. More importantly, the amount of quintessence that Xiao Chen's body could contain had reached an inconceivable level. If Xiao Chen broke through to martial sage, the number of heavenly sage laws he could convert into would reach a startling number. Since ancient times, why were those demonic geniuses who condensed their quintessence twice able to become major characters in the future? This was the reason why those demonic geniuses who condensed their quintessence twice in the martial monarch realm were able to become major characters in the future. After breaking through to martial sage, one would immediately shake off those martial monarchs who liked to use their cultivation to suppress them. Xiao Chen, congratulations. After suffering so much, you finally advanced to half-sage, Xiao Chen said sincerely from the immortal spirit ring. Every time Xiao Chen consumed the quintessence gathering pill, Ao Jiao could still remember the heart-wrenching pain Ao Jiao felt every time Xiao Chen consumed the quintessence gathering pill. Xiao Chen's cultivation fell far behind the geniuses of the same generation. He could only hide his pride and lofty aspirations in his heart, unable to express them. When the clouds parted to see the moon, when one could endure loneliness and all sorts of pain, one would be able to obtain what one wished for. Xiao Chen's face lit up with joy. However, he remained extremely calm as he said, "It is still not enough. I just advanced to half-sage and have not comprehended my heavenly sage laws yet. I cannot waste any of the remaining 20 painting pieces." Time slowly went by. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. In the blink of an eye, another 20 days had passed. Xiao Chen suppressed the impatience in his heart. He slowly absorbed the remaining 20 painting pieces at the rate of 1 a day. Although this speed was slow, it was steady and steady. Furthermore, with his familiarity with the first 10 painting pieces, the effects of the remaining painting pieces were very obvious. Xiao Chen caught more than 30 beams of blue light, allowing his cultivation to soar. Such a cultivation was equivalent to a sovereign martial emperor personally imparting knowledge to him. There would be no side effects. As for why the other party could increase his cultivation despite being a fiend emperor, Xiao Chen pondered this question for a long time and came up with a guess that he did not dare to confirm. The martial Tao had many changes. However, when one reached the peak, they would all return to the same place. The essence of the energy was the same, there was not much difference. After catching 10-odd purple beams of light, Xiao Chen finally found a fist technique, Kunpeng fist. Most importantly, he had wasted more than a dozen chances to make a move. A golden beam of light containing sovereign demonic the arch and heavenly laws was firmly grasped in his hand. In the mysterious world within Xiao Chen's body, the tightly shut door of sages opened a crack. In that instant, Xiao Chen obtained 100 faint golden heavenly sage laws. These heavenly sage laws were as thick as a finger. They looked like ribbons of light circling his dantian. If a cultivator of the same cultivation realm were here, they would discover that the heavenly sage laws behind Xiao Chen undulated like waves flickering with a faint golden light. One golden beam of light directly transformed into hundreds of heavenly sage laws. If Wu Yuankai were still alive and saw this scene, he might vomit blood. Wu Yuankai had cultivated bitterly, killed others for their treasures, and used up countless resources. However, after advancing to half-sage for more than 10 years, he had only comprehended 10-odd heavenly sage laws. Furthermore, these were the thread-like heavenly sage laws. Now that Xiao Chen had obtained only the Heavenly Rock King's heavenly law, he now had 100 more heavenly sage laws. Furthermore, these heavenly sage laws were as thick as a pinky. They were at least 10 times stronger than Wu Yuankai's heavenly sage laws. However, they were rather dim in color. Furthermore, they were not the heavenly sage laws that Xiao Chen comprehended. Hence, he felt somewhat uncomfortable using them. If he completely absorbed them, the faint golden heavenly sage laws would turn into purple lightning attributed heavenly laws. In that case, these 100 heavenly sage laws would become Xiao Chen's. No wonder those half-sages went crazy when they saw the painting pieces. They also knew that the painting pieces were somewhat overrated. However, if one was really lucky and managed to grab a golden beam of light, it would be equivalent to gaining 10-odd years of cultivation. However, this chance was too slim. Xiao Chen had 31 painting pieces. He had about 100 chances to make a move. Furthermore, with Ao Jiao's guidance, he had only managed to grab one golden beam of light. It was practically impossible for those half-sages with only 1 or 2 painting pieces to obtain a golden beam of light. After calming his slightly excited heart, Xiao Chen started to refine these heavenly sage laws. He infused his quintessence and mind brand into them. The purple thunder divine incantation slowly circulated, and the purple clouds around his dantian turned into a dense fog that slowly scattered. Then, they slowly seeped into the 100 faint golden heavenly sage laws. After all, the heavenly sage laws were transformed from the Heavenly Rock King's heavenly laws. They were not Xiao Chen's. The process of seeping them in was extremely arduous and difficult. Time slowly went by. Xiao Chen's heart was as calm as a mirror. He did not rush or get impatient. He only slowly sent his quintessence in, showing great patience. After half a day, Xiao Chen finally managed to completely seep in one of the faint golden heavenly sage laws, turning it pure purple. Joy appeared on Xiao Chen's face as he continued to work hard. With the experience from the first time, the second and third times went much smoother. In the end, he was able to take it easy. Half a month later, the 100 faint golden heavenly sage laws all turned purple. Their thickness had decreased by half, but they had become even more solid. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and a light flickered before him in a hazy world. Creak. In the distance, a saint door that stood in the void quietly opened a tiny crack that was almost negligible. Boom! In that instant, countless sounds entered Xiao Chen's ears. Those were the breathing of the world, the sound of the great Tao. The sounds were like bells ringing rhythmically. The 100 heavenly sage laws in Xiao Chen's body cheered along with the sound of the great Tao, moving up and down. Xiao Chen's exhausted quintessence was completely replenished in a short while. A surging energy spread throughout his body. When he raised his hand, he could feel this energy surging like a raging river, incredibly ferocious and unparalleled. The light disappeared, and the world before him returned to reality. Xiaochen stared at the faint layer of dusk on the other side of the stone door, the barrier that had trapped him here for 2 months. A brilliant light flickered in Xiaochen's eyes. He did not hesitate to fly up and circulate the vast quintessence in his body. Then, he punched that invisible barrier. Bang! 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 Berserk electric light burst out of Xiaochen's fist. The 100 heavenly sage laws danced around wildly, and the heavenly sage laws behind him glowed even brighter. Rings of hazy purple light could be seen with the naked eye, moving up and down like surging waves. The formless light barrier began to tremble violently. Cracks began to spread, as if it would collapse at any moment. However, a short moment later, after a while, a mysterious energy poured into the barrier, and the cracks mended. Then, a huge force bounced back at Xiaochen. Xiaochen's expression changed. His internal organs suffered a flood-like attack. He quickly withdrew his hand and retreated. Then, he took 9 steps in the air. With every step Xiaochen took, he deflected some of the force, causing space to tremble. After 9 steps, he spun around quickly, deflecting the remaining force bit by bit. As the heavenly sage laws spun, a strong wind howled endlessly in the stone room. By the time Xiaochen landed, the rebound force had already completely dissipated. Aside from the initial shock, Xiaochen was not injured at all. This punch was just a casual test after he advanced to half-sage and grasped heavenly sage laws. Xiaochen did not expect to break out of the door in one go. Withdrawing his fist, Xiaochen looked at the invisible barrier and entered deep thought. It looked like he needed to shatter this barrier with one punch. Otherwise, if he gave it time to catch its breath, even if it was just for a moment, it would be useless. However, now that I have a full power punch, I can achieve the might of deities descending in the past, perhaps even surpassing it. When I familiarize myself with the strength of my body and execute deities descending, I have a 70% chance of breaking this barrier with my tenfold combat prowess. Withdrawing his gaze, Xiaochen glanced at the corpse of the heavenly rock race's young race head, Mingyu. The stone room was sealed, and it was in the depths of the grave palace. Hence, Mingyu's corpse had not rotted yet. It still looked the same as before, its eyes wide open as it stared in a certain direction. Xiaochen thought back to when he first met this person. He kept feeling that something was wrong. At that time, Mingyu stood on the altar, facing the many outstanding talents hiding in the surroundings. His expression had not changed, he had been very confident, not showing any fear. This person was definitely not as weak as Nangong Qiong made him out to be. He should have been confident of subduing the core painting piece. However, the reality was that the moment Xiaochen and Nangong Qiong entered, they saw this person's corpse. What exactly is wrong? Xiaochen thought for a while but could not come up with an answer. Just as he was about to give up on this question, Xiaochen suddenly thought of something. Then, he walked over to Mingyu's corpse and looked in the direction of Mingyu's extremely dissatisfied gaze. Suddenly, Xiaochen's expression changed. At the end of Mingyu's vision was an unremarkable corner of a wall. There was a square piece of paper pasted there. The color of the paper was almost exactly the same as the color of the surrounding wall. If not for Mingyu's angle, one would not have noticed the square piece of paper pasted on the wall. Standing up, Xiaochen narrowed his eyes and drove out a vast quintessence from his heavenly sage laws. Then, he casually sent out a strand of saber qi. The purple saber qi looked very solid, containing Xiaochen's great perfection saber intent. Although it was just a casual strike, given Xiaochen's current cultivation, regular half-sages would not dare to underestimate it. Qi! A piercing bird cry resounded, and a vast and imposing emperor's might spread out, pressing towards Xiaochen like a heavy mountain. Earlier, it was just an ordinary piece of white paper. Now, it gave off a bright light and turned into a scarlet heavenly rock with a ferocious look in its eyes. This heavenly rock was very different from the heavenly rock formed by the painting pieces earlier. One had an overwhelming spirituality, while the other exuded a baleful aura. It gave the impression of a man-eating ferocious beast. Ao Jiao, who was in the immortal spirit ring, showed a startled expression. She said, "Shao Chen, be careful. This is an evil spirit formed by the Heavenly Rock King's baleful aura. After tens of thousands of years, it unexpectedly gained intelligence. Everyone had a dark side. Naturally, the Heavenly Rock King was no exception. The great rock spreading wings painting was formed by his body before he died. It definitely contained his baleful aura, killing chi, and all sorts of dark sides. When the painting was complete, it was not a big problem, as there was a bright side to neutralize it." Chapter 767. However, once the picture scroll shattered, the dark sides gathered together. After a long time, it would be hard to avoid strange changes. Ka Xie. The scarlet heavenly rock flapped its wings. The strand of purple saber chi that Xiaoqin sent out shattered it into pieces. They turned into flashes of lightning that crackled and flickered. Xiao Chen's pupils constricted slightly. Aside from a grave expression, there was something else in the depths of his eyes. Ao Jiao, if I did not guess wrong, it should be a core painting piece as well. The core painting piece that Ing Qiong subdued should be the Heavenly Rock King's light side. There should not be one core painting piece but two. Xiao Chen's guess was right. The core painting piece was indeed split into two. One contained the Heavenly Rock King's good side and the light side. The other was occupied by the Heavenly Rock King's evil side and the dark side. Both had gained some intelligence. However, in terms of craftiness and viciousness, the light side was far inferior to the dark side. This dark core painting piece had killed Mingyu. At the crucial moment when he was subduing the light part, the dark core painting piece sneak attacked him and killed him. Hence, Mingyu felt extremely dissatisfied when he died. He had great ambitions and was about to succeed. In the end, he died at the hands of a core painting piece, an unparalleled genius falling just like that. Furthermore, this core painting piece was extremely crafty. When it felt threatened, it even knew how to disguise itself to deceive others. If not for that final flash of inspiration, Xiaoqin might not have discovered it. If this evil spirit had another few hundred years, it might have gained another powerful ferocious spirit. However, now, Xiaoqin had advanced to half-sage and refined 100 heavenly sage laws. This dark core painting piece could not do anything to him. The scarlet heavenly rock flapped its wings, and rings of red light came from its body. It looked ferociously at Xiaoqin as it cried out and charged over. Its scarlet claws flickered with a cold light as it tried to tear Xiaoqin to shreds. The space was narrow, so Xiaoqin did not dodge. He did not intend to engage in a tug-of-war with this dark core painting piece. Myriad Heaven Divine Fist, tenfold combat prowess, deities descending. Bang! At this moment, Xiaoqin's tenfold combat prowess was incomparable to before. When he punched, the heavenly sage laws behind him formed ribbons of light. Light burst forth like a halo, visible to the naked eye. As his long hair fluttered in the wind, Xiaoqin was like a god walking in the world. A loud sound came from the void. The air was blasted apart by this punch. The entire stone chamber shook violently as if it was going to collapse at any time. The fist wind carried a shockwave as it surged forward. The descending scarlet heavenly rock cried out miserably and flew back. The red light on its body dimmed significantly, and its body turned illusory. The scarlet sky rock hid in a corner, trembling as it looked at Xiaoqin. One punch, and the ferocious black painting piece completely lost its temper. Deities descending was very mighty. Unfortunately, the amount of mental energy and quintessence it exhausted was startling as well. Xiaoqin could not use it without any worries. Otherwise, with another 2 punches, this evil spirit would be completely destroyed. Xiaoqin roared and shot up, launching a barrage of attacks at the scarlet heavenly rock. The scarlet heavenly rock, which had been weakened by deities descending, could not retaliate at all before Xiaoqin's unstoppable aura. It cried out miserably without end. Those who heard it panicked. However, they could not save the heavenly rock from death. After the final strike, the scarlet heavenly rock cried out miserably and turned into clumps of scarlet light, vanishing from the stone chamber. A painting piece covered in black light slowly floated down from the sky. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand to catch it. Ci La. A hole appeared in the protective quintessence around his hand, and he instantly felt pain in his palm. Xiao Chen reflexively tossed out the black painting piece. What's going on? Looking at the wound on his palm, Xiao Chen felt confused. The evil spirit was already dead, but this black light could still break through his protective quintessence. Ao Jiao said, "You are inexperienced. This is filled with the heavenly rock king's evil aura and dark side. Unless you are an evil cultivator, how can you touch this thing?" Although the core painting piece split into two and more than 10,000 years have passed, it is no longer as mighty as it was in the beginning. However, it is still the evil aura of a sovereign martial emperor. You cannot absorb it with your current cultivation. As Xiao Chen looked at the dark core painting piece floating in the air, he could not help feeling depressed. Such a great temptation was placed before him, yet he could not swallow it. Is there any other way? I can think about it, Xiao Chen asked, feeling dissatisfied. Ao Jiao supported her chin with her right hand and smiled. Naturally, there is a way. When we go to the place where the Thunder King comprehended his will, we can draw out the immortal divine lightning and purify the evil aura and dark aura. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Originally, he had intended to rush to the place where the Thunder King comprehended his will after he left. It would not be a big deal for him to absorb the light from the core painting piece after some time. Without touching the dark painting piece, Xiao Chen directly placed it in his universe ring. Then, he did not say anything more and started to familiarize himself with his current strength. During the 2 months in the Grave Palace, Xiao Chen's strength had accumulated greatly, reaching unprecedented heights. This improvement was inevitable and not a coincidence. Even without this painting piece, it would have been the same. The painting piece was just an igniter. It completely ignited the energy that Xiao Chen had accumulated as a martial monarch. Then, it exploded, achieving a qualitative leap. Xiao Chen's strength had suddenly increased by too much. He needed to calm down and carefully explore this energy, familiarizing himself with it as quickly as possible. 3 days later, Xiao Chen gained a rough understanding of his current combat prowess. If he met the Bai Wuxue of half a year ago, even without comprehending the will of thunder, he would be able to defeat him easily. Of the 7 giants, only Juanxi could hold his own against him. If first senior sister did not distance herself, she would not be able to defeat him in close combat. However, while Xiao Chen was improving, the others were improving as well. As for the specifics, it was hard to say. I have to comprehend the will of thunder. What I want is not just to defeat Bai Wuxue and Juanxi, the aloof son of the 3 holy masters, and the various geniuses of the other races of the Kunlun realm's 5 domains are all my opponents. A determined expression appeared in Xiao Chen's eyes. Then, he looked at the formless barrier in front of the stone door that he could not break. His expression turned grave. Xiao Chen walked to the stone door step by step. Then, he looked at the faint light barrier and took a deep breath. Although Xiao Chen was fully confident of breaking this formless barrier, there were exceptions to everything. Once he failed, Deity's Descending's tenfold combat prowess would land on him. With Xiao Chen's current strength, even if he did not die from such an attack, he would be severely injured. Indecisiveness was not Xiao Chen's character. A cold light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he executed Deity's Descending and punched the formless barrier. Bang! 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 Non-stop explosions resounded. The formless barrier was like a mirror. Then, it shattered into pieces and scattered in all directions with a gust of wind. The situation was simpler than Xiao Chen imagined. He did not continue to struggle or wait anxiously. With his tenfold combat prowess, he broke this formless barrier with one punch. Xiao Chen withdrew his fist and revealed a relaxed expression. Ing Qiong laughed at him for not being able to come out for 100 years. However, he managed to do so in less than 2 months. Xiao Chen said that even an inferior-grade martial sage would not be able to break this formless barrier. However, with his tenfold combat prowess, he managed to break it with one punch. In terms of explosive power, Xiao Chen had accumulated 100 heavenly sage laws. With his tenfold combat prowess, a regular inferior-grade martial sage would not be able to compare to him. In terms of sustained explosive power, Xiao Chen could not compare to a martial sage. After all, he could not use his tenfold combat prowess like drinking water without any worries. Xiao Chen raised his foot and walked out of the stone room that he had been trapped in for 2 months. Fresh air immediately assaulted his face. Breaking this barrier with one punch gave Xiao Chen boundless confidence. He asked somewhat anxiously, "Ao Jiao, how far is the place where the Thunder King comprehended his will from here?" "It is not far. With your current speed, if you travel at full speed, you will reach it in 10 days. That is a fiend race forbidden land called Misleading Fog Lake." Misleading Fog Lake? Xiao Chen repeated this name twice. Just from the name, he could guess what kind of place it was. Misleading Fog Lake is shrouded in thick fog. Mental energy and other senses would not exceed 500 meters in there. Even a martial sage would be trapped in there. Ao Jiao continued, "However, you have my guidance. There is no need to worry about getting lost." Xiao Chen smiled faintly. Since Ao Jiao said that, there was no need to worry. When the time came, he just had to focus on comprehending the will of thunder. Once he comprehended the will of thunder, he would become an unrivaled existence among half-sages. As they spoke, Xiao Chen arrived at the exit of the Grave Palace. Just as he was about to step out, he frowned slightly and stopped. "Young Master Xian, how much longer do we have to wait? Although we are not major characters, we should not waste our time like this." Outside the vast Grave Palace, the leader of the 30 half-sage loose cultivators on the yellow sand asked sinisterly with a sullen expression. Originally, they had said that they would wait for half a month at most. Not only would they obtain 100,000 astral coins, but they would also obtain 2 painting pieces. However, they ended up waiting for 1.5 months. No matter how tempting they were, they would grow impatient. They suggested charging in several times, but Xian Yu stopped them. As time went by, this group of people became more and more agitated. Every 2 or 3 days, they would come looking for Xian Yu to pester him. Xian Yu's expression turned sullen. He had not expected Xiao Chen to be in there for 2 months without coming out. What does 2 months count for? If you can obtain 1 painting piece, with some luck, you can save 10 years of bitter cultivation. The black-clad man smiled insincerely. If you have a painting piece, naturally, everything will be fine. However, if you do not, what do you mean? I am the scion of the Silver Moon Spirit Fox race's Xian clan. Why would I lie to an insignificant person like you? If you don't want to wait, my Xian clan's martial sage will be coming soon. At that time, if you continue speaking nonsense with me, I will give you all the benefits. Xian Yu was in a bad mood in the first place. When he saw the black-clad man's attitude, he immediately flared up. The black-clad man did not want to blow the matter up. Furthermore, the Xian clan did have some power and was not someone he could afford to offend. After muttering a few words, he left. Humph. You keep coming to me to say this and that. Aren't you just trying to increase the rewards? None of these loose cultivators are good people. Chapter 768. The middle-aged man beside Xian Yu frowned slightly and said, Xian Yu, just waiting like this is not a solution. How about I go in and check out the situation first and see what that white-robed brat is doing? Xian Yu's expression remained calm, but a heavy murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He said in a cold voice, the Xian clan's senior elders will arrive today. At that time, the senior elders will lead the way. At the exit of the Grave Palace, Xiao Chen, who was hidden in the shadows, saw all this. His lips curled up, and a cold murderous intent flashed on his delicate face. There would always be some people who would do foolish things that they believed to be infallible. Young Master Xian, are you looking for me? Xiao Chen walked out of the shadows and stood before the steps of the grave palace. As he looked at Xian Yu in the distance, he smiled faintly and spoke in a clear voice. When the blazing sunlight shone on Xiao Chen's body, it made his white robes reflect a faint glow. In that instant, it seemed like all the light gathered on him, making him look very bright. As the light flickered, Xian Yu's eyes flickered. However, he was currently filled with rage and did not care why this happened. When Xian Yu saw the white-robed Xiao Chen, he revealed an expression of wild joy. He shouted, "That's him! Kill him! 100,000 astral coins and the painting pieces are all yours." The 30 half-sages behind immediately discovered Xiao Chen the moment he appeared. Their instincts told them that Xiao Chen was a very dangerous person. However, when they checked and discovered that he was just a half-sage, they relaxed. No matter how dangerous it was, there were 30 of them. Furthermore, every one of them was an outstanding half-sage. They were not early-stage half-sages like Situlei, who had not comprehended heavenly sage laws yet. In their eyes, Xiao Chen was just a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. He was destined to die. Kill! The leader of the group charged forward, giving off an overwhelming baleful aura as he soared into the sky. 10 odd slender scarlet heavenly sage laws moved up and down behind him, making him look like an ancient ferocious god. Blood hand chop! This person shouted coldly, and his right hand suddenly turned scarlet like blood. He looked very charming and demonic. The middle-aged man smiled at Xian Yu and said, "This blood hand chop is a rather tyrannical blood technique. It requires the blood of 1,000 female martial monarchs to cultivate. After great perfection, the palm becomes as red as blood. Not only can it split mountains, but it also possesses unparalleled might. Furthermore, it contains blood poison, baleful aura, and resentment. It is an extremely sinister martial technique. Even an inferior-grade martial sage would not feel good after receiving such an attack." Xian Yu's eyes flickered with excitement when he heard that. Every single one of the 30 people he had found possessed a unique skill. After committing numerous crimes in the Tianwu domain and the Fiend domain, he ran to Hunluo province. Any one of them would be a ruthless character in the same cultivation realm. If 30 ruthless characters attacked together, Xiao Chen would not have any chance of survival. Even if Xiao Chen's methods were powerful and his luck was impressive, the Xian clan's senior elders were still rushing over. In the end, he would not be able to escape death. Don't blame me for being cruel. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for falling in love with someone you shouldn't have. There are some people that a small character like you can't afford to offend. Xian Yu's expression was cold as he said with a chilling gaze. Bang! However, just as he finished speaking, he heard a heart-wrenching scream. Xiao Chen, who was standing in front of the palace grave, did not move an inch. Looking at the bloody hand flying at him, he directly punched it. 100 purple heavenly sage laws gave off a bright light. A vast and pure lightning-attributed quintessence poured into Xiao Chen's right hand like a surging river. The sound of a fist rang out, and thousands of dazzling purple lightning bolts shot out. The blood-red right hand of the leader was smashed into a pile of broken bones by Xiao Chen the moment it came into contact with Xiao Chen. The bloody hand that the leader was so proud of, the one that had chopped off many sect half-sages, was crushed by Xiao Chen's absolute strength. The force of the fist continued to spread up through the leader's right hand. The bones in his right arm exploded continuously. Soon, the leader's right hand was crippled, and he became a one-armed half-sage. Unorthodox methods are just insignificant tricks in the end. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with this person as he cried out miserably. He clenched his fist and instantly punched with the 100 heavenly sage laws in his body. No! This person felt the threat of death approaching. He drained all the quintessence in his remaining left hand, driving the heavenly sage laws as he did his best to block Xiao Chen's punch. However, the 10-odd slender heavenly sage laws in his body were as weak as babies before Xiao Chen. 100-finger-thick purple heavenly sage laws surged out and easily shattered the heavenly sage laws. Ka-Cie. Ka-Cie. Xiao Chen's protective quintessence and heavenly sage laws all shattered. Xiao Chen's punch blasted the leader of the loose cultivators into a clump of scarlet light. As the saying went, the evils we bring upon ourselves are the hardest to bear. Evil cultivators were extremely evil. Xiao Chen could be considered to have brought this upon himself by crushing his bones and scattering his ashes. Such a scene happened in an instant. The previously awe-inspiring loose cultivator turned into a clump of scarlet light in 2 breaths of time by Xiao Chen, dying without a complete corpse. A trace of horror flashed across the eyes of the 20 or so wandering cultivators, and their movements involuntarily paused for a moment. Shock filled Xian Yu's eyes. He said in disbelief, "What in the world is going on? 2 months ago, he was just a superior-grade martial monarch. How did he advance to half-sage in 2 months? Furthermore, he comprehended so many heavenly sage laws." When Xiao Chen saw the openings in the group of loose cultivators in the air, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Then, he shot forward like a sharp arrow. Majestic sagely songs rang out in the air. As the sagely songs drifted about, they told of a distant legend. As his combat experience increased, Xiao Chen's comprehension of the myriad heaven divine fist deepened. The power of a distant legend was to create a sense of vicissitudes of history. As time passed, the legend would become an epic, and the epic would become a myth. Who was the legend? Who was the epic? Who was the myth? It was not those vague deities in the distant heavenly nation. It was himself, Xiao Chen. The change in Xiao Chen's mentality and comprehension allowed this move to evolve in that instant. The vast sagely songs of the distant legend sang of his glory. Xiao Chen's past deeds, his various glorious achievements in the Sky Dome realm, materialized into huge golden paintings that flickered in the surroundings, creating a vast and majestic aura. When Xiao Chen punched, the sagely songs rang out, and a boundless light poured out. His mental energy, quintessence, and vital qi merged into one. His essence, qi, and soul turned into an unparalleled divine radiance. Boom! The light struck the 29 half-sages in the air, which Xiao Chen had found openings in. They all cried out in pain and vomited large mouthfuls of blood as they fell to the yellow sand. The sagely songs did not ring out, but the light on Xiao Chen's body grew increasingly brighter. The deities in the boundless starry heavens, hundreds of billions of light-years away, all focused their gazes on Xiao Chen. This was different from the gazes of the past. This time, aside from boundless energy, the deities' gazes also contained a gaze of wisdom. It seemed like because of Xiao Chen's comprehension of the distant legend, the deities had a whole new level of respect for him, materializing the light of wisdom in their gazes. The deities' gazes pierced through and focused on Xiao Chen, making the light on his fist dazzlingly dazzling. It looked like it could compete with the blazing sun of the Kunlun realm. Radiance of deities. A vast pillar of light flew towards the 29 half-sages on the ground as Xiao Chen punched. Everywhere it passed, it wiped out all the dust and cleansed the surroundings. All sorts of sins and evils were cleanly purified. The 29 half-sages on the ground showed horrified expressions. They quickly linked their heavenly sage laws into a line, forming an undulating scarlet river. Ghosts cried and wolves howled in the river for thousands of kilometers. Corpses piled up, and aggrieved spirits drifted about. This was the dark scarlet river of hell that rivaled the underworld river. The dark scarlet sea depicted the great sins and evils of the world. It was one of the most horrifying mysterious phenomena. However, these people's heavenly sage laws were only as thin as ribbons. Even when they were combined, they were not as strong as Xiao Chen's. Furthermore, they were not powerful evil cultivators who did not comprehend the meaning of the dark scarlet sea. Even if they could materialize the mysterious phenomenon of the dark scarlet river, they would not be able to save themselves from being killed. Boom! The light did not extinguish, and the holy light was eternal. A vast aura and a trace of wisdom instantly shattered that dark scarlet sea. Silently, all the evil and darkness were purified. There were not even any cries of pain. A bottomless hole appeared in the yellow sand. The 29 half-sages died without a trace. Xiaochen casually waved his hand and collected all the spatial rings in the deep hole. Then, he glanced coldly at the dumbfounded Xianyu in the distance. Xianyu, quickly leave. This person is a demonic genius like Yan Shisan. Now that he has advanced to half-sage, no one can stop him. The middle-aged man let out a horrified roar as he turned and fled, fleeing for his life. When the spring wind is endless, the weeds are endless. When cutting the weeds, one has to pull out the roots. Naturally, Xiaochen would not let the two fleeing people off. Keeping such vicious people by Bai's side would be a disaster. Be it for himself or for Bai, Xianyu and his second uncle had to die. Riding on the 3 blue dragons, Xiaochen arrived quickly. Riding on the dragons, he kicked up strong winds. Surging yellow sand rose up behind him like a mountain. His aura was overwhelming, and the winds and clouds changed color. In 2 or 3 breaths, Xiaochen caught up to the fleeing Xianyu and the middle-aged man. Xianyu, quickly leave. I'll help you block him. When the middle-aged man saw Xiaochen land, he quickly flew over, trying to buy time for Xianyu to leave. The middle-aged man's quintessence surged. He did not care about the exhaustion as he executed all sorts of martial techniques with great momentum, attacking Xiaochen continuously. Yellow sand flew everywhere, and under the blazing sun, Xiaochen's expression did not change. He countered every move, returning a move with every move. The quintessence condensed by 100 heavenly sage laws surged out as Xiaochen's palm moved. To the middle-aged man, it was like a mountain smashing into his chest. After 10 moves, the middle-aged man vomited blood and went flying. His complexion paled, without a trace of blood. This was absolute strength, a complete suppression. A demonic genius would erupt after accumulating for a long time. Once he advanced to half-sage, all the pain he suffered would blossom into a flower of pride that shone brightly. Chapter 769. Flowers do not wither, the sun does not extinguish, the heavens do not disappoint me. Xiaochen waved his hand, and the lunar shadow saber appeared in his hand from the universe ring. Without drawing the saber, he casually swung it. Pu ci. The sharp scabbard and the lunar shadow saber gave off a piercing sonic boom. Before the middle-aged man landed, the lunar shadow saber pierced through his chest, pinning him to the yellow sand. Blood flowed out and seeped into the golden sand. Soon, the blazing sun roasted it into a glaring blood stain, like a flower of death blooming. Suddenly, a shadow appeared. When Xiaochen looked up, he saw Xianyu revealing his true form. He had turned into a 4-meter-tall, 20-meter-long, 3-tailed white fox. However, even after revealing his true form, Xianyu still did not have the confidence to fight Xiaochen. He only wanted to run faster, to increase his chances of escaping. Xiaochen gently leaped up and smiled coldly as he watched the 3-tailed white fox flee. He circulated the myriad heaven divine fist and executed the 4th move, Chains of Deities. Ka Xie. Ka Xie. In the void, long golden chains appeared around the 3-tailed white fox. At this moment, the chains were infused with Xiaochen's heavenly sage laws. Compared to before, they looked even more realistic. The patterns on the chains were very clear. The flowing divine scripts gave off a bright light. Under the illumination of the blazing sun, they looked even more dazzling and divine. So. The 3-tailed white fox's nimble body leaped around in the air, dodging the berserk dragon-like chains with the divine scripts. However, these divine scripts contained the will of deities. They were compatible with the world. Unless the 3-tailed spirit fox broke them forcefully, it would not be able to escape the seals of the chains. Soon, a chain wrapped itself around one of the 3-tailed spirit fox's legs, preventing it from struggling free. Following that, more chains flew over like a strong wind, completely sealing it. Pai Li. Pa La. The divine scripts flowed and struck the three-tailed spirit fox's body, causing it to cry out in pain. Its body trembled continuously as its strength was slowly sealed. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Waves of divine patterns flowed and struck the body of the three-tailed spirit fox, causing it to howl in pain. Its body trembled uncontrollably as its power was slowly sealed. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and beckoned. The three-tailed spirit fox that was bound by the divine mark chains landed before Xiao Chen with a loud bang. It kicked up a large cloud of yellow sand that flew away with the wind. After landing on the ground, Xian Yu completely lost the power to maintain his demon body. He returned to his human form and appeared in front of Xiao Chen. However, his handsome face was pale and devoid of blood. He looked like an ordinary person under the pressure of Xiao Chen's half-sage might. He had completely lost the will to fight back. Fear filled his heart, and he didn't dare to look at Xiao Chen directly. Compared to the murderous and sinister aura from before, it formed a huge contrast. Xian Yu thought back to what he had said, there are some people that a small character like you can't afford to offend. Indeed, there were some people that a small character like him could not afford to offend. However, that small character was himself and not Xiao Chen. Don't kill me. Now that the Fox King has taken Bai Yin as his adopted daughter, there will be many spirit fiend geniuses eyeing her. With me watching from the side, I guarantee that no one will dare to touch her or harm her. In the end, Xian Yu's desire to live won over his pride. As he looked at the expressionless Xiao Chen, he could not help begging for mercy. At the same time, Xian Yu wanted to buy some time for himself. When the Xian clan senior elders arrived, the situation would turn around completely. The one begging for mercy would be Xiao Chen. Xian Yu was born in a noble clan of the Silver Moon Spirit Fox race. He was handsome and had outstanding talent. Since he was young, he had been the center of attention. His future was boundless. As long as Xian Yu managed to win Bai's heart, he would be able to establish a relationship with the Fox King and gain the favor of a sovereign martial emperor. At that time, the spirit fiend geniuses of the fiend domain would not dare to be impudent before him. I cannot die. I absolutely cannot die. I still have a great future ahead of me. I cannot fall here. Thinking of this, Xian Yu started begging for mercy in a low voice, making all sorts of promises like rain. If he did not get rid of this problem, even if he did not harm himself, he would harm his friends. Xiao Chen could not be bothered to listen to Xian Yu's sophistry. He pointed at Xian Yu's forehead, intending to kill him. Brat, try attacking if you dare. Just at this moment, a thunderous shout came from the distance. This voice seemed to resonate with heaven and earth, affecting Xiao Chen's mind. When Xian Yu heard this voice, he could not help but rejoice. When Xian Yu heard this, he could not help but rejoice. He swept away his earlier sorry state and laughed loudly, the Doyen is here. The Doyen is here. Xiao Chen, you are dead for sure. Just wait to kneel and beg for mercy. You bastard, how dare you snatch Xiao Bai from me? At first, the voice came from far away. After Xiao Chen was distracted for a moment, the other party's figure appeared before him. As the figure approached, a strong wind blew, covering the yellow sand on the ground. It rustled as it arrived before Xiao Chen. A figure hid in the yellow sand. This figure threw a palm strike at Xiao Chen without saying a word. It turned out that the Xian clan's martial sage had arrived. However, so what? He was just an inferior grade martial sage. Did he think that he was some powerful expert? Myriad Heaven Divine Fist, tenfold combat prowess, deities descending. A strand of divine light tore through the barrier of the sky and entered Xiao Chen's body. Then, it merged with his heavenly sage laws. Immediately, Xiao Chen's body released a dazzling golden light. His hair fluttered in the wind, giving off motes of light. Xiao Chen's aura soared infinitely. Everything in the world had to bow before him. Bang! A resplendent fist clashed with that Xian clan senior elder's palm strike. A loud rumble resounded and yellow sand filled the air. Before Xian Yu's horrified gaze, the Xian clan senior elder that he saw as his savior grunted. Unexpectedly, he got knocked back by Xiao Chen's punch. The Xian clan senior elder landed 5 kilometers away. Then, he slid along the yellow sand for another 2 kilometers before he truly stabilized himself. Before the wild joy on Xian Yu's face faded away, he was stupefied. He did not know what was going on until Xiao Chen looked over. Only then did Xian Yu react. He said, "Xiao Chen, don't kill me. I'll give you 1 million astral coins. I can think of a way to give you all the beauties of the spirit fox race. I will definitely not target by." Before Xian Yu could finish speaking, a finger-sized hole appeared on his forehead. Blood poured out, and he lost all signs of life, unable to say another word. A martial sage could cross the distance of 7 kilometers in the blink of an eye. The Xian clan senior elder, who had been knocked back by Xiao Chen's punch due to underestimating him, suffered some internal injuries. When he saw the dead Xian Yu, his expression immediately changed drastically. "You actually really killed my Xian clan's scion." The Xian clan senior elder bellowed angrily at Xiao Chen, enraged. Xiao Chen gently drifted back. As he moved back, he casually pulled out the lunar shadow saber from Xian Yu's second uncle's chest. He said coldly, "No matter who the killer is, they should be prepared to be killed. This is the way of the world. You only have yourself to blame. Why are you pretending to be confused?" The Xian clan senior elder did not get angry. Instead, he smiled and said, "This is the way of the world? In that case, this old man will kill you now. It looks like you have nothing to complain about." Martial sage transcended mortality and entered holiness. Once a cultivator advanced to martial sage, they would undergo a transformation from the inside out. Not only would their quintessence turn into heavenly sage laws, but the moment they advanced to martial sage, their physical body would also undergo a baptism of the world. Along the way, their physical body, which had been cleansed by spiritual energy thousands of times, would undergo a complete transformation, becoming a sage body. During that moment of advancement, the martial artist would also enter an indescribably wonderful state of being one with the world. At this time, if any martial technique or cultivation method reached a bottleneck, in any martial technique or cultivation technique, they could use the state of being one with nature to effectively break through the bottleneck, allowing them to gain insight and broaden their mind, allowing them to break through in one go. Cultivators who crossed the hurdle of martial sage would become an overlord of a region. Even if they went to the 9 ranks of the great families, they would be treated with respect and treated generously. Martial sages were the true experts of the Kunlun realm. They were the elites of any sect or faction. The Xian clan senior elder before Xiao Chen was such an expert, a bona fide inferior grade martial sage without any exaggeration. If a regular half-sage heard that a martial sage wanted to kill them, they would immediately be frightened to death. Their minds would be thrown into chaos, and they would either kneel and beg for mercy or turn around and flee. However, Xiao Chen's expression did not change much. If he really felt fear, he would not have killed Xian Yu despite knowing that this person was here. If you think you have the ability, you can do it. Xiao Chen landed on the ground and looked at the other party calmly. In terms of physical body, Xiao Chen had a rank 2 sage body, which was far stronger than the other parties. In terms of heavenly sage laws, the other party was not a demonic genius or had any great fortuitous encounters. The other party was just an ordinary inferior grade martial sage. Even after converting all his quintessence into heavenly sage laws, he only had about 150 heavenly sage laws, not much stronger than Xiao Chen. The only advantage the other party had over Xiao Chen was that he had been a martial sage longer. His understanding and usage of heavenly sage laws far surpassed Xiao Chen's. In this aspect, Xiao Chen could not compare to the other party at all. If the two entered a tug-of-war, Xiao Chen would definitely lose. However, Xiao Chen was not foolish enough to fight with the other party until victory was decided. The Xian clan senior elder snorted coldly and said, "If I had not been careless earlier, how could I have been knocked back by your palm strike? Do you really think that you can defeat a martial sage? Die!" Right after the Xian clan senior elder spoke, all 150 heavenly sage laws surged out of his body and danced wildly behind him. The spiritual energy of the world flowed like a river, merging into the heavenly sage laws. This made the blue heavenly sage laws even more profound and filled with power. Xiaochen thought to himself, after removing the heavenly sage laws from my body, I can absorb the spiritual energy of the world even more directly. It looks like there are indeed many techniques in the martial sage realm that half-sages cannot grasp. Hu Qi. The Xian clan's senior elder flew forward and sent out a palm strike. The 30-odd heavenly sage laws behind Xiaochen quickly flew into his palm, making this seemingly ordinary palm strike feel like a real mountain pressing down on him. When the Xian clan senior elder leaped down, it was like he had turned into a mountain pressing down, pushing down the air. Xiao Chen's shoulders immediately felt a strong pressure. However, his physical body could endure it and did not affect his movement technique. However, the desert below him could not endure it. It formed a strange whirlpool and kicked up a large amount of sand in all directions. Soon, a huge, deep pit appeared. This was not an aura, nor was it pressure. This was actual force, a kind of pressure formed by the heavenly sage laws. Before this, regular half-sages would find it difficult to even walk. Chapter 770. If I did not have any fortuitous encounters, I would have been too careless. Xiao Chen said with a slightly grave expression. He could not underestimate any martial sage, at least not now. He circulated the heavenly sage laws in his body, and the remaining pressure immediately vanished. Without drawing his saber, Xiaochen watched the Xian clan senior elder's palm strike. He grasped his saber's hilt with his right hand and infused 30 heavenly sage laws into it as well. Bang! The tip of the saber's scabbard and the Xian clan senior elder's palm instantly clashed. A vast energy immediately surged out in all directions from where the two clashed. The loud sound was like thunder. The ground within a 5-kilometer radius was instantly shaved off by 100 meters. Countless yellow sand was swept up by the airflow. The sandstorms formed hundreds of 100-meter-long sandstorms surging out in all directions. The clear sky turned dark at this moment. Pure electric light flickered continuously on the scabbard. The Xian clan senior elder's palm turned cold. With a casual strike, the two were evenly matched. Neither gained the upper hand. Clearly, this was not the result that the Xian clan senior elder was willing to see. His face sank, and another 30 heavenly sage laws poured into his palm. Xiaochen could not bring out his heavenly sage laws like the Xian clan senior elder, so he could not compare to the Xian clan senior elder in terms of strength. Xiaochen's body trembled, and the Xian clan senior elder, whose strength had suddenly doubled, immediately knocked him back. However, Xiaochen's physical body had already reached rank 2 sage body. Before the Xian clan senior elder's shocked gaze, he spun around twice and dissipated the surging force. Xiaochen pushed off the air and executed a blue dragon tail whip. Then, he appeared behind the Xian clan senior elder and charged at him. Bang! 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 A chain of explosions resounded. The battle between the two turned the boundless desert into a scene of desolation. Bottomless pits littered the place. Xiaochen relied on the advantage of his physical body. Without drawing his saber, he clashed with the Xian clan senior elder, not showing any signs of being at a disadvantage. Damn it! The Xian clan senior elder was flustered and exasperated, feeling incredibly frustrated. He had thought that Xiaochen had only sent him flying because he had been careless. When he got serious, killing Xiaochen would be a piece of cake. But when they really fought, he realized that Xiaochen was actually so difficult to deal with. Xiaochen's strong physical body and heavenly sage laws were not much weaker than Xiaochen's. Xiaochen's mysterious movement technique, which allowed him to move like the wind, prevented him from gaining any advantage in speed. As for the various heaven-ranked martial techniques, Xiaochen had a way to deal with them. He did not fear clashing head-on with Xiaochen at all. This made Xiaochen, a bona fide martial sage, feel very sullen. Forced into a corner, the Xian clan's senior elder could only use his trump card, wanting to end the battle in one go. He felt humiliated just thinking about it. A martial sage was actually forced to use his trump card to deal with a half-sage. The 150 heavenly sage laws behind Xiaochen suddenly vanished into thin air. The Xian clan senior elder waved his hand, and the temperature plummeted. The scorching hot desert actually made people feel a sense of coldness. Xiaochen smiled faintly. Everything was within his expectations. Despite his advanced age, his cultivation had not improved much. If he did not cultivate 1 or 2 trump cards to protect his life, it would not be right. Xiaochen had been waiting for this moment. Suddenly, Xiaochen, who was in the air, narrowed his eyes. He executed the Qing Emperor's drawing the saber. He placed his saber at his waist and grasped its hilt with his right hand. Then, he stepped on the air and quickly headed for the Xian clan senior elder. The expression of the Xian clan senior elder suddenly turned startled. Before the Xian clan senior elder's eyes, Xiaochen, who was running over, turned into 3, then 6, eventually 80-odd figures. Furthermore, Xiaochen's figures holding saber hilts were everywhere, all with a pair of cold, emotionless eyes. The Xian clan senior elder's pupils constricted, and the 80-odd figures turned back into 1. However, the feeling of being watched from all directions felt like prickles on his back. He could not shake it off. What martial technique is this? It is not a cloning technique, drawing the saber, or a mental energy martial technique. Why does it feel completely unfathomable? It is like he can send out 80-odd figures with 1 saber strike. The Xian clan senior elder could not figure it out no matter how he thought about it. As he watched the approaching Xiaochen, he felt uncertain. In the end, the Xian clan senior elder clenched his teeth and stopped executing his trump card. Then, he quickly retreated. A bona fide martial sage was actually frightened by Xiaochen into giving up on executing his trump card. However, it was clear that the Xian clan senior elder's decision to give up was the right one. In the next moment, a saber light lit up, an 80-odd saber chi with different trajectories charged at the Xian clan senior elder. The Xian clan senior elder barely dodged, narrowly avoiding a few fatal saber chi. However, the non-fatal saber chi inflicted many bloody wounds on his body. Flickering electric light leaped around the wounds, lingering for a long time. Even though the Xian clan senior elder had a rank 1 sage body, these injuries could not heal that quickly. Xiaochen sheathed his saber and looked at the Xian clan senior elder. He said calmly, "Even if you are a martial sage, what can you do to me?" Xiaochen's words were indifferent. However, they were like thunder rumbling in the Xian clan senior elder's mind, making him feel sullen, uncomfortable, and helpless. "You are seeking death." The Xian clan senior elder shouted angrily, and 150 heavenly sage laws instantly entered his body. Then, he revealed his true form and turned into a huge spirit fox charging at Xiaochen. As the spirit fox ran, the ground trembled continuously. It felt like the sky was going to fall as it burst out with an unparalleled aura. Competing in explosive power? You are not as good as me in that. Xiaochen smiled coldly and executed deity's descending, tenfold combat prowess of the myriad heaven divine fist. Bang! A surging energy surged out, and the huge spirit fox burst out with a startling might. However, Xiaochen's punch still knocked it back. When the fiend race revealed their true form, if they were not a spirit fiend, their combat prowess would only increase by 2-fold at best. However, Xiaochen's deity's descending truly increased his combat prowess by 10-fold. The spirit fox crashed into the ground 10,000 meters away, creating a bottomless pit. Xiaochen glanced at it and ignored the Xian clan senior elder. He turned around and rushed to misleading Fog Lake. Xiaochen could not use deities descending continuously. Furthermore, it exhausted a horrifying amount of mental energy. He was destined not to be able to kill this person, so there was no need to waste any more time. However, this person could only dream of doing anything to Xiaochen. Now, Xiaochen was no longer like he was in the Sky Dome realm, where any martial sage could deal with him easily. 5 days later. Ao Jiao, that fellow keeps following me. This is not a solution. Don't. Are you thinking of using the strength character formula? Although you can kill that fellow with the strength character formula, you will fall into a deep coma, losing all your combat prowess. Any spirit beast will be able to kill you then. Xiao Chen rode on the azure dragon on a desolate plain, flying close to the ground. As he moved up and down, he could travel 5 kilometers in an instant. The Xian clan senior elder followed behind unhurriedly. No matter what Xiao Chen did, he could not shake him off. Xiao Chen thought for a while and could only sigh. The strength character formula was boundlessly profound, containing great might. Once it was used 33 times its combat prowess, anyone of the same generation would die. However, everything in the world had its own heavenly Tao. Naturally, such a heaven-defying martial technique could not be executed so easily. Not only was it draining, but it was also very difficult to comprehend. With Xiao Chen's current cultivation, or rather, his horizons, he could only scratch the surface. Xiao Chen had a great killing weapon, but he could not kill his enemies to his heart's content. This was a very depressing matter. Ao Jiao smiled gently and said, "It's fine." After he reached Misleading Fog Lake, he would not dare to act rashly. That is a famous forbidden land of the Fiend domain. Even Emperor Wu once went in and got lost in there. Even Emperor Wu got lost in there. How could he, a half-sage, barge in? Xiao Chen's expression turned startled. He asked in disbelief, "Is that true?" Of course it is true. Otherwise, Misleading Fog Lake would not have such an extraordinary reputation. However, don't worry. Back then, the Thunder King already solved the mysteries of it. With my guidance, you will not get lost in there. After obtaining Ao Jiao's confirmation again, Xiao Chen relaxed slightly. He glanced at the Xian clan senior elder behind him and continued flying forward at full speed. The Xian clan senior elder, who had an extremely hostile expression, said somewhat suspiciously, "Why does this brat seem to be heading for Misleading Fog Lake? Could it be that he knew that I already used a secret technique to send a message to the main clan of the Silver Moon Spirit Fox?" Knowing that he could not escape death, he simply fled to Misleading Fog Lake. The heir that the Xian clan's clan head had high hopes for was killed just like that. Naturally, this was a shocking matter. The Xian clan senior elder received orders from the clan head to pass on the truth. However, he also hid some things. The Xian clan senior elder was too embarrassed to pass on the fact that Xiao Chen, a half-sage, had forced him to the point of being helpless. He only said that Xiao Chen had learned a special movement technique. If Xiao Chen ran for his life, the Xian clan senior elder would not be able to catch up to him. He asked the clan head to send a few more senior elders to help surround and kill Xiao Chen. 10 days later, the Xian clan's senior elder saw a white figure standing at the shore of a mysterious lake shrouded in dense fog. Then, he did not hesitate to step in. Misleading Fog Lake is a forbidden land that even Emperor Wu could not leave. He really went in. The horror on the Xian clan senior elder's face could no longer be described with words. He simply could not understand why Xiao Chen sought death like that. He clearly could have left easily. The Xian clan senior elder's figure flashed as he approached the lake shrouded in dense fog. He sent out his perception, and his face filled with deep regret. Xiao Chen really went in. This way, even if the other Xian clan senior elders rushed over, they would not be able to kill that brat personally. After entering the Misleading Fog Lake, it was hard to escape death. Since ancient times, there had been too many people who overestimated themselves, but no one had ever walked out alive. Some of the curious sovereign martial emperors only dared to go 10 kilometers in before quickly retreating, afraid that they would get lost in there as well. With Xiao Chen's strength as a half-sage, he would only die if he went in. There would be no other ending. How unfortunate. I cannot kill that brat personally. It is hard to vent my hatred. In the battle 15 days ago, the Xian clan senior elder had suffered greatly, forced into a sorry state by a half-sage. It would not be an exaggeration to call it the greatest humiliation of his life. It was not that the Xian clan senior elder had never been defeated before. In fact, he had been defeated even more miserably than that battle. However, his opponents were all people of the older generation. Furthermore, their cultivations were much higher than the Xian clan senior elders. He had nothing to say about his defeat. Chapter 771. However, a junior like Xiaochen forced him into such a sorry state was unprecedented. If he did not personally kill Xiaochen, he would not be able to get rid of this heart demon for the rest of his life. Ha ha ha. So, it turns out that you miss Xiaochen so much. In that case, this Xiaochen will give you another punch. There is no need to stand on ceremony. Suddenly, a splash appeared on the lake. Xiaochen leaped out and did not hesitate to send out deities descending. The Xian clan senior elder had not expected such a sudden development. By the time he retreated, that surging energy, a punch with tenfold combat prowess, had already struck his chest. Bang! The Xian clan senior elder vomited a mouthful of blood and went flying back with a pale complexion. He looked at Xiaochen incredulously. It turned out that Xiaochen had not entered the lake at all. He had just stopped at the shore, waiting for the Xian clan senior elder to come over. A punch with tenfold combat prowess already surpassed the might of the Xian clan senior elder's full power strike. This punch struck him while he was caught off guard. This could be said to have truly injured him. The Xian clan senior elder felt so depressed that he wanted to hack Xiaochen into 1,000 pieces. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen made a fool out of him again. You are going too far. This old man will fight it out with you. The Xian clan senior elder roared and charged at Xiaochen like a madman. You want to kill me? Come with me to Misleading Fog Lake. I will wait for you at the center of the lake. Xiaochen felt very happy in his heart. This old fellow had been following him for half a month and had long since disliked him. Now, he finally managed to trick him. Xiaochen laughed loudly and entered the vast fog again. Bang! In the end, reason won over impulse. The Xian clan senior elder stopped midway. If he really followed Xiaochen into this misleading fog lake, he would end up in a miserable state. This time, the Xian clan senior elder did not dare to stand casually at the shore. He waited for 2 days before carefully arriving at the shore. Then, he jumped into the lake. The Xian clan senior elder searched the bottom of the lake before he confirmed that Xiaochen had truly entered the depths of the lake. When the Xian clan senior elder jumped back onto the shore, a group of people was already waiting a kilometer away. The person leading this group looked like he was in his 40s or 50s. However, his aura was withdrawn, and there were more than 300 heavenly sage laws behind him. Furthermore, each one was as thick as a thumb, much stronger than Xiaochen's. Unexpectedly, this person was a peak inferior grade martial sage. There were actually 2 martial sages among the 40 or 50 people standing behind him. The clothes they wore were exactly the same as the Xian clan senior elders. When the clan's senior Xian of the Chen of the Xian of the clan, he was, of, he, Chen, a Chen, of the of Zoth the Chen, and of it his, of Shao of his, of the Chen, of the clan, of out of the Chen of. Xian Feng, the day before yesterday, you sent word that the person who killed Xian Yu had already entered deep into Misleading Fog Lake. Xian Ku did not answer Xian Feng's question directly. He only frowned as he looked at the mysterious Misleading Fog Lake, which was always shrouded in fog. He entered deep thought. Xian Feng lowered his head and answered, "It is absolutely true. I chased this brat for 15 days and nights. In the end, he had nowhere else to run and entered this Misleading Fog Lake." Huh. Xian Feng, you are really capable. Even after chasing a half-sage for half a month, you still could not catch him, a Xian clan senior elder mocked behind Xian Ku. Xian Feng felt a slight pain in his chest. He wanted to retort, but he felt too guilty. He lowered his head and did not dare to say anything. Carefully, he asked Xian Ku, first elder, what did the clan head say? Xian Ke thought for a while, not paying much attention to this. He said, "Did that person barge into this place by mistake or on purpose?" "Xian Feng, are you sure?" "He should have barged in by mistake. He is not from my fiend domain. He probably has not heard of the strangeness of misleading Fog Lake. If he barged in by mistake, then never mind. Just stand guard here for 3 months. If he comes out, just kill him. If he doesn't, then forget it." After Xian Ke spoke, he glanced at the fog-covered misleading Fog Lake. Then, he stood up and left. As the Xian clan's first elder, he had many matters to attend to. Naturally, he could not waste 3 months on a half-sage who barged into misleading Fog Lake by mistake. Seeing the first elder leave, Xian Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the first elder was only here to go through the motions. Otherwise, he would have been afraid that he would have revealed his secret. Aside from the thick fog, the water of misleading Fog Lake looked no different from any other lake. It was clear and transparent. When one looked down, one would see the shadows of fish swimming around. However, the fog above the lake disturbed the tranquility of the lake. After Xiao Chen stepped in for a kilometer, he became completely lost. Even when Xiao Chen infused quintessence into his eyes, he could not see beyond 100 meters. When he extended his spiritual sense, it became hazy after 500 meters. What was even more horrifying was that there was no sense of direction in there. This sense of direction was not limited to a flat surface. Even if one tried to fly upwards with all their might, it would appear that they were flying upwards. However, after a while, they would strangely land back on the lake. As for swimming to the depths of the water, it was even more dangerous. Perhaps after you swam down for 1,000 meters, you wouldn't be able to survive. Perhaps after swimming for a kilometer, one would discover that one could not float up no matter how one swam. One would keep spinning in the water, suffocating to death. This misleading Fog Lake did not have any strong ferocious beasts, traps, or formations. Furthermore, it did not have any natural disasters that could destroy the world. It only blurred one's 5 senses, rendering one's overwhelming abilities useless, grinding one to death in there. Now, Xiao Chen was somewhat curious about how the Thunder King managed to get out of this place back then. According to Ao Jiao, when the Thunder King barged into this place, he had not advanced to Martial Emperor yet. He had only just broken through to Martial Sage. In the depths of this misleading Fog Lake, there is a bolt of divine lightning. That is the true divine lightning. Even at his peak, the Thunder King could not bring out even 1/10 of it. Back then, the Thunder King was trapped here. Coincidentally, he reached the bottleneck of comprehending a will, so he started cultivating here. He sensed the existence of the divine lightning, which allowed him to reach the depths of misleading Fog Lake. In the end, he broke through the bottleneck in one go, becoming the only cultivator in the past 10,000 years to comprehend a will before the age of 25, successfully walking out of misleading Fog Lake. Ao Jiao told Xiao Chen everything that happened back then, answering many of his questions. Divine lightning, even at his peak, the Thunder King could not bring out even 1/10 of its might. What kind of lightning was that? Xiao Chen could not help but feel very interested. At his peak, the Thunder King was a sovereign martial emperor. Just one bolt of lightning equaled 10 sovereign martial emperors. In that case, how strong was the master of that bolt of divine lightning? It completely surpassed Xiao Chen's imagination. This was truly incredible. There were strong sovereign martial emperors and weak sovereign martial emperors. However, there would not be much of a difference. In the martial epoch, sovereign martial emperor was synonymous with the peak of cultivators. As for martial gods, they had been a legend for tens of thousands of years. Even the strongest sovereign martial emperor since the ancient era, the Qing Emperor, was only a sovereign martial emperor and not a martial god. Most of the legends about martial gods came from the ancient era. That was when martial emperors were as common as clouds and sages roamed the land. It was the golden age of the martial epoch. In the end, legends were just legends. Sovereign martial emperors could live for 10,000 years. Martial gods should be eternal. However, the reality was that several strong sovereign martial emperors from the ancient era had their bloodlines passed down. Even now, they did not go extinct and were revered as sovereign noble clans. As for several of the legendary martial gods, not to mention their bloodlines, they did not even leave behind their inheritances. This made many later generations believe that martial god was just a figment of their imagination and did not exist at all. Now, Ao Jiao said that one bolt of divine lightning equaled 10 sovereign martial emperors. In that case, could the master of the divine lightning be a martial god? At this moment, Xiaochen could not help but feel excited. He urged Ao Jiao to quickly lead the way. Don't rush. It has been more than 2,000 years. The connection between me and that bolt of divine lightning is already somewhat weak. I need some time. After waiting for a long time, Ao Jiao turned into a beam of light and flew out from the immortal spirit ring. In the depths of Ao Jiao's intelligent eyes was a spot of golden electric light drifting about like a flame. That spot of electric fire was only several times the size of a grain of rice. However, it gave off a soul-stirring light, deterring others from looking directly at it. Ao Jiao revealed an extremely grave expression on her cute and petite face. Her gaze slowly moved around the surroundings, occasionally revealing a confused expression. When Xiaochen saw this scene, he frowned slightly. It looked like this misleading fog lake was not as easy as Ao Jiao said. However, Xiaochen was not a rash person. His mental state was much calmer than that of his peers. He did not show any panic on his face, nor did he say anything to disturb Ao Jiao. Time passed slowly. The surrounding fog did not weaken at all. At a glance, all Xiaochen saw was a vast expanse of white. He could not tell north from south at all. The fog did not look strange. When Xiaochen collected some, he did not find anything wrong with it. That was to say, the strangeness of this place had nothing to do with this vast fog. The crucial thing was that the divine lightning had clouded the 5 senses. If not for the fortuitous encounter like the Thunder Kings, a sovereign martial emperor would not have been able to leave. Boom! Just as Xiaochen's thoughts ran wild, a strong wind suddenly blew. The thick fog in front of Ao Jiao parted, revealing a clear path. The 2 undetectable spots of golden electric light in Ao Jiao's eyes suddenly turned into clumps of blazing flames, giving off a resplendent and dazzling light. With a thought, Xiaochen quickly followed behind Ao Jiao, moving quickly on the water. It was like there was a formless energy guiding Ao Jiao. The fog in front of her automatically parted as she moved forward. After she crossed it, it immediately closed up again. When one looked back, it was still a vast and boundless fog that stretched for an unknown distance. This was truly inconceivable. After an unknown amount of time, Xiaochen felt that they had already advanced at least 150 kilometers. However, Ao Jiao still showed no signs of stopping. We've arrived. Suddenly, Ao Jiao stopped. Right after she spoke, Xiaochen discovered that the surrounding fog had vanished at some point in time. The scene before Xiaochen turned into a golden world. Not only was the lake under his feet golden, but the surrounding air and the vast sky were also pure gold. Chapter 772. The sudden change caused Xiaochen's eyes to be somewhat stimulated. His vision blurred, and he could not help but squint. In the middle of the lake, there was a ball of golden lightning floating 1,000 meters above the lake. The golden radiance was emitted from it, and then the entire world was dyed golden from the inside out. This was the divine lightning that Ao Jiao spoke of. Xiaochen could feel the energy contained in the electric light. It was like a boundless sea, vast and boundless. However, at this moment, it seemed very gentle. The entire world gave off a sense of tranquility. Xiaochen glanced at Ao Jiao beside him and could not help but be startled. Ao Jiao's exquisite and charming body had actually turned completely golden. Her skin, eyes, hair, and clothes were all golden. However, this golden color seemed very lively, making one feel that she was not an inanimate object. How did you become like this? Ao Jiao giggled and said, "In my eyes, you are like this too." Xiao Chen raised his hand and looked. Indeed, he had become like Ao Jiao, covered in a layer of golden light from the inside out. It was extremely strange. Xiao Chen did not know if he could recover. If he remained like this for the rest of his life, he would not be used to it. Ao Jiao could tell what Xiao Chen was worried about. She smiled and said, "Don't worry. This is its domain. After you entered, you were all assimilated. You will be fine once you leave. You can try cultivating and see if there are any unexpected effects." Xiao Chen did as he was told. He sat cross-legged on the golden lake and closed his eyes to circulate the purple thunder divine incantation. After a while, he opened his eyes and said in pleasant surprise, "This place is filled with the purest lightning-attributed spiritual energy. Cultivating here is at least 10 times faster than cultivating outside." Ao Jiao nodded and said, "With your talent, you will definitely be able to break through to martial sage in less than 3 years. When you advance to martial sage, the more quintessence you have, the more heavenly sage laws you will be able to convert." Xiao Chen asked about what he was most concerned about. Then, "What should I do to make my state of thunder break through to the will of thunder?" Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "I don't know. The Thunder King comprehended his will here, but how exactly did he comprehend it? Only he himself knew, and he couldn't tell anyone else. Everyone's situation is different, and the experiences of others may not apply to you. To you, this place is just a fortuitous encounter. However, you will still have to rely on your own comprehension to make a breakthrough." Xiao Chen was stunned at first, but he soon understood. He smiled and said, "To comprehend a will, one needs talent, accumulation, and fortuitous encounters. The first two are easy to achieve, but the latter is hard to come by. I don't know how many geniuses are stuck at the bottleneck of fortuitous encounters. Since I have such an opportunity, I should learn to be satisfied. Do your best and leave the rest to the heavens. If you fail, you will have no regrets as long as you do your best." Ao Jiao smiled softly and said, "You have already comprehended the state of thunder to the limit. You have already accumulated enough. The fact that you comprehended the immortal state at Thunder Emperor Valley is sufficient proof of your talent. You already have sufficient talent and accumulation. Now that the fortuitous encounter has arrived, you will be able to form the immortal will of thunder in the near future." Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, "I'll be counting on your auspicious words. Comprehend it well. I also want to make use of this opportunity to raise my strength." Ao Jiao nodded, and her body slowly sank to the bottom of the lake. Ripples spread out, and she completely vanished, leaving behind the most peaceful environment for Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen saw this scene, he could not help but shake his head and smile bitterly. "This girl, you can just cultivate here. It is not like you are in my way." Xiao Chen looked deeply at the divine lightning floating a kilometer above the center of the lake. Then, he entered deep thought. Logically speaking, given the might of the divine lightning, he should have been electrocuted into nothingness long ago, even if he did not do anything, given how close he was to it. However, the divine lightning before Xiao Chen clearly possessed an incomparably vast energy. However, it remained gentle and calm, not showing the berserk nature of lightning. In nature, all sorts of states were ever-changing. Wind had gentle winds, cool winds, and strong winds. Fire had warm flames, slow flames, flames, and blazing flames. Water had flood waters, brook waters, and clear waters. Only lightning was not so ever-changing. Even the weakest lightning bolt could easily strike an ordinary person to death. It would not be gentle at all. Its might shook the heavens, it was decisive, and it dispersed with one strike. This was lightning. Xiao Chen had never seen such gentle lightning before. After thinking for a while, he found it very strange. After hesitating for a while, he gathered his courage and flew towards the divine lightning. Xiao Chen's figure flashed as he slowly approached. As he got closer, the feeling of vastness intensified. It was like he was embracing a boundless sea. Before this boundless energy, Xiao Chen's state of thunder was so insignificant that it was negligible. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Xiao Chen arrived before the divine lightning. When he looked carefully, he discovered that the clump of light looked like a thick eggshell protecting something. Could the true divine lightning be in there? Xiao Chen frowned and thought hard. If that was the case, wouldn't he have to break the clump of light before he could see the divine lightning? Xiao Chen's state of thunder had already reached its limits long ago. All he needed was an opportunity to break through that bottleneck. Then, he would be able to form his will. The divine lightning was Xiao Chen's opportunity. If he tried to comprehend the divine lightning through a barrier, the effects would be much weaker. However, the danger of breaking the barrier was unpredictable. The possibility of it killing him in one exchange was very high. Should I break it or not? Break it. Xiao Chen felt conflicted. He clenched his teeth and resolutely made a decision. He had to break it. As long as he could increase his chances of comprehending the will of thunder, the risk was worth it. However, he still needed to be cautious. He retreated 1 kilometer and circulated the heavenly sage laws in his body. Strands of pure lightning attributed quintessence poured into his fingertips like a river. Qi! Qi! The purple lightning attributed quintessence condensed into a beam of light and shot at the eggshell-like clump of light in front. Contrary to Xiao Chen's expectations, the clump of light was easier to break than he expected. It instantly tore a finger-sized hole in it, and a strand of golden lightning surged out. Everywhere it passed, it tore the incredibly tough space of the Kunlun realm in half, forming long black cracks that looked as if they were one. Xiao Chen had been prepared long ago. When he shot out that purple beam of light, he quickly dodged, brushing past the golden lightning. The afterimage left in the air was directly cut in half along with the black crack in space. Xiao Chen sucked in a breath of cold air and felt a chill run down his spine. His heart pounded heavily. Had he been slower by even a fraction of a second, his physical body would have been torn in half. Legend had it that Emperor Wu's physical body could withstand the destructive force of the shattering of space. Aside from that, only some spirit beasts at the peak of the food chain could block spatial tears. However, no matter what kind of physical body it was, Xiao Chen was worlds apart from it. An inconspicuous crack could easily tear him to shreds. Xiao Chen narrowed his eyes and looked at the hole. Then, his spiritual sense turned into a thin line and quickly entered. The scene he saw stunned him. This clump of light actually contained a small world that was tens of millions of kilometers wide. It was a chaotic, pitch-black space. In the very depths, Xiao Chen saw thousands upon thousands of berserk bolts of lightning roaring furiously. The bolts of golden lightning were actually filled with spirituality, turning into berserk dragons. As they roared and leaped about, they radiated a power that could shatter mountains and dry up rivers. The bolt of lightning that tore space earlier was just an ordinary bolt of lightning that came from the depths of the small world. After traveling for tens of millions of kilometers, its might had decreased. If the surrounding dragons had any destructive power, the entire misleading fog lake would have been reduced to rubble in an instant. Now, Xiao Chen finally understood why Ao Jiao said that even when the Thunder King was at his peak, the lightning he executed was only a tenth of the might of this divine lightning. If it was only a tenth, Xiao Chen felt that Ao Jiao was being overconfident. The surrounding dragon-shaped lightning is definitely not the true body of this divine lightning. It is just an electric light that was casually emitted. I have to see exactly what this divine lightning looks like. Xiao Chen carefully controlled his spiritual sense to fly forward. In an instant, his spiritual sense had traveled 500 kilometers. Such a strange speed in the small world astonished Xiao Chen. As his spiritual sense flew, he could even clearly feel the flow of time. Ka Xie. A random bolt of lightning crashed into Xiao Chen's spiritual sense. In that instant, his spiritual sense turned to ashes, and the scene in his mind vanished. Xiao Chen's pupils constricted. The hole in the clump of light earlier was already slowly closing. His spiritual sense no longer had a chance to enter. Without hesitation, Xiao Chen pointed with his finger and tore another hole. Then, in the time it took for a spark to fly, he dodged the golden lightning that shot out from it. This repeated over and over again. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense went in again and again, and again and again. He got closer and closer to the divine lightning at the core of the small world. The golden lightning that shot out was like the Grim Reaper's scythe, brushing past Xiao Chen again and again. Even with Xiao Chen's strong mental fortitude, he could not help but break out in a cold sweat. If he was careless, he would lose his life here. Xiao Chen did not know how many times his spiritual sense went in. Finally, he passed through the dragon-shaped lightning and saw the true body of the divine lightning. However, how was this divine lightning? It was clearly a talisman, a supreme lightning talisman. The immortal patterns flowing on it, the traces of strokes, and the strands of immortal chi emanating from the talisman all showed that this was an immortal-grade lightning talisman. It was exactly the same as the introduction of talismans in the Compendium of Cultivation. However, the grade of this talisman was too high, completely surpassing the level of talismans in the Compendium of Cultivation. Xiao Chen did not know what grade this talisman was. Sage grade, immortal grade, or divine grade. With just one look, the golden lightning talisman's shape was deeply imprinted in Xiao Chen's mind. It was like a bolt of lightning had blown open his closed thoughts, opening him up. Xiao Chen felt like he understood something. He quickly withdrew his spiritual sense and absorbed the shocking scene he just saw. The surging mental energy in his sea of consciousness started to surge. Xiao Chen started to imitate that supreme talisman according to his memory. Chapter 773. For the state of thunder to turn into a will, it required a point to gather the scattered and blurry states. Xiao Chen finally found this point. It was the supreme lightning talisman in the small world. Under Xiao Chen's intentional carving, the originally blurry state of thunder slowly merged together. Its initial form was like a clump of mud, completely unrelated to the talisman. Furthermore, it shattered at the slightest provocation. If an impatient person tried to do this, he would probably give up after a while. Xiao Chen did not feel anxious at all. At this moment, excitement and agitation filled his heart. He did not know how the Thunder King comprehended a will. However, Xiao Chen was certain that the Thunder King would not recognize that talisman. That was a treasure left behind by the strongest immortal of the immortal epic. Otherwise, Eo Jiao would not have called it divine lightning. The will of thunder that Xiao Chen was about to comprehend was not only different from the Thunder King's will but also unique in the entire Kunlun realm. That supreme lightning talisman suddenly became extremely clear in Xiao Chen's mind. With just one look, it was deeply imprinted in his mind, unforgettable. However, when Xiao Chen wanted to merge the state of thunder and form this lightning talisman, he encountered many difficulties. The power of states was formless and formless. First, he had to pile up the formless things. This was not easy. It was like piling up a pile of loose sand into something solid. How could that be easy? After a few tests, the state of thunder that he gathered was like a pile of ugly mud. Even the moment he let go, it immediately turned into a pile of loose sand. Fantasy was wonderful, but reality was harsh. This was the situation that Xiao Chen was currently in. Sometimes, when one thought about many things, one would get half-dead excited, hot-blooded. One would think that it would be perfect, something that no one had ever done before or after, shocking everyone. However, when one tried to do it, one would discover that it was a mess. The perfect idea in one's heart could not be achieved at all. Damn it! I failed again. Even after thousands of attempts, Xiao Chen still did not get any results. He started to feel frustrated. He opened his eyes and punched the golden lake. With a bang, a 3,000-meter-tall water pillar soared into the air. It shone with golden light like a precious sword, flickering with glorious light. This punch poured out all the anger and frustration that Xiao Chen had accumulated from thousands of failures. Even the calmest person would not have a temper, and Xiao Chen was no exception. The lake water crashed to the ground, rippling and bobbing up and down. After a while, it became calm again, looking like a smooth mirror of light. There was nothing in the world that could be as tolerant and gentle as water. No matter how high one stood, water would still flow downwards. Along the way, the dirt on the ground would be silently absorbed by the water. When one sank into a depression, only the water would remain calm. No matter what happened in the outside world, when everything calmed down, the water would return to its original state. Not a single drop of water would be unable to endure the loneliness and jump out on its own. If one placed a pile of sand in a lake, without external help, there would be a few uneven spots with uneven heights. As Xiao Chen looked at the golden lake water below, his frustrated heart slowly calmed down. Then, he suppressed his earlier agitated emotions. He calmly analyzed what the root cause of his thousands of failures was. Closing his eyes and thinking hard, Xiao Chen entered a state of selflessness, tossing all the empty excitement and hot-bloodedness out of his mind. After a long time, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and looked at the calm surface of the lake again. A spirited light flashed in his eyes. Sand cannot be piled up into a solid state. Just the state of thunder alone cannot force it together. I need to add something else, like water. Sand was indeed not sturdy. However, if one mixed water and sand, it would not be a problem to build an indestructible castle. If the power of concepts was compared to sand, then what was water? Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Some of the problems slowly became clear. What was the most abundant in the sea of consciousness? Naturally, it was the vast mental energy. Only by mixing mental energy and the state of thunder could one truly merge them together. Naturally, the state of thunder would be unbreakable, indestructible. After thinking of a way to resolve the problem, Xiao Chen remained as calm as before. He immediately did as he was told. Excitement and joy could wait until after the matter was done. Xiao Chen closed his eyes, and strands of scattered state energy gathered together once more, forming a clump of ugly mud. This mud looked like it would scatter at any moment. However, Xiao Chen did not lose heart. He poured in strands of mental energy like water. Buzz! A soft buzzing sound rang out in Xiao Chen's mind. The clump of mud that looked like it would scatter at any moment. As Xiao Chen infused his mental energy, it slowly merged together, hugging each other tightly. Xiao Chen revealed a faint smile. Indeed, his guess was right. The state of thunder was like sand, and mental energy was like clear water. Only by combining the two could one achieve true perfection. Continuing his efforts, Xiao Chen continuously merged his peak state of thunder together. The clump of mud became even larger. At the same time, the mental energy in Xiao Chen's sea of consciousness slowly seeped in. The two merged perfectly. When all the state of thunder had merged, Xiao Chen's consciousness leaped up and took human form. Then, he entered the sea of consciousness and sat on the scarlet throne. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand, and the purple mud containing mental energy and the state of thunder flew to him. Xiao Chen stood up from the throne and recalled the appearance of the lightning talisman. Then, he started to slowly polish it. As Xiao Chen polished the rough mud, it slowly became more exquisite. Slowly, a talisman appeared on it. At the very least, it looked like a talisman. No one would mistake it for a mud ball. Xiao Chen did not understand or know how to draw the immortal scripts on the divine-grade lightning talisman. However, he did not need to draw them. After all, he was not trying to make another divine-grade lightning talisman. Firstly, he did not have the ability to do so. Secondly, he did not have the materials. He only wanted to use this opportunity to forge his own unique will of thunder. After some thought, Xiao Chen knew what he should carve on the talisman. He wanted to carve the immortal attribute on it. This was the mental world. Xiao Chen stretched out his hand, and a brush appeared out of nowhere. As Xiao Chen moved, all sorts of startling mysterious phenomena appeared in the boundless world of the sea of consciousness. Volcanoes erupted, lightning flashed, thunder roared, seas roared, and snowy shores crumbled. The winds and clouds changed. There was no moment of peace. Only Xiao Chen remained standing on the scarlet throne, his expression calm. No matter how horrifying the mysterious phenomena were, I will write immortal with every stroke. The immortal patterns on the purple talisman slowly linked together. As Xiaochen drew the final stroke, a divine charm appeared on the rough talisman. On the rough wrinkles, a trace of charm appeared out of thin air. The world of the sea of consciousness that had changed colors also stopped moving at this moment. In the world, only that talisman was eternal and immortal. Xiaochen withdrew his consciousness from the sea of consciousness and opened his eyes. A light flashed on his forehead, and the purple talisman flew out. At this moment, the state was still the state, and the mental energy was still the mental energy. The two only merged together. A will did not appear. It still lacked one last breath. Xiaochen's expression remained calm. He clenched his teeth and spat out a mouthful of lifeblood essence. Pu ci. When the blood seeped into the talisman, it immediately gave off a strange light. At this moment, Xiaochen's mind, flesh, and blood were completely connected to this talisman. They were bound together for good or for ill. The last thing that was missing from the will was completely fixed. It would be refined into the immortal will of thunder that belonged to Xiaochen, the one and only in the world. As the light flowed, it no longer showed any signs of dimming. As long as Xiaochen did not die, the light of his will would be eternal and inextinguishable. Still not enough. Xiaochen's eyes were resolute as he looked at the divine lightning talisman hidden in the small world encased in the clump of light. He stretched out his hand and pointed, and a finger-sized hole immediately appeared in the clump of light. Pu ci. The lightning that shot out brushed past Xiaochen's shoulder. However, it struck the purple talisman flickering with light in the air. When the golden lightning struck the talisman, Xiaochen immediately roared in pain. It was like the lightning struck him. He was in so much pain that he wished he were dead. If jade is not cut, it will not be useful. If the sword is not sharp, how can it kill? The newborn will of thunder had to undergo the baptism of the absolute divine lightning before it could truly become glorious. Despite the boundless pain, Xiaochen's eyes did not show any intention of giving up. He stretched out his hand and pointed, and another hole appeared, releasing another bolt of golden lightning. Xiaochen's figure flashed, and he attacked 81 times, allowing this newborn will of thunder talisman to undergo the baptism of the absolute divine lightning 91 times. At some point in time, Eo Jiao had emerged from the bottom of the lake. As she looked at the agonized Xiaochen in the air, a complicated expression appeared in her eyes. The scene before her was very similar to the scene from many years ago. Even after 1,000 years, the scene did not change. The faces of the Thunder King and Xiaochen kept changing before Eo Jiao's eyes. She focused her gaze, and her face froze. It was a young man with delicate features who could not be considered very handsome. The face that belonged to the Thunder Emperor never appeared again. Let the past legends and inextinguishable glory fade away in the long river of history. If one was determined and never gave up, one would definitely create an even more glorious legend. Back then, the Thunder King was like this as well. Although the will he comprehended was different from Xiaochen's, the instant he comprehended his will, he immediately used the absolute divine lightning to baptize himself. A foolish person would have 10,000 ways to be foolish. However, a truly powerful demonic genius, be it 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, or now, was the same on a certain level. The baptism of the divine lightning would definitely not be effective in a short time. If one gave up after enduring the torment of pain, all their previous efforts would be wasted. It would be meaningless. As the light flickered, it lasted for 7 days. The somewhat crude talisman that belonged to Xiaochen's will became even more exquisite and perfect under this baptism. After 7 days, no more absolute divine lightning shot out from the clump of light. The purple talisman glowed with light. Occasionally, one could see faint golden light flowing out of the immortal patterns. The edges were distinct, looking like a perfect work of art. Chapter 774. As the talisman spun around, a faint light spread out in all directions, forming a blurry clump of light. Unfortunately, before the radiance of the powerful divine lightning, this talisman, which could shock everyone in the outside world, seemed to pale in comparison. A state was formless, but a will had form. To turn a state into a will, most people would imitate a weapon that they were good at, be it a saber, a sword, or a spear. There were also outstanding talents, powerful demonic geniuses, and wondrous ideas. Some people were bold enough to imitate their will into a legendary ferocious beast, such as a phoenix, a true dragon, a qilin, a golden crow, or a kunpeng. However, such holy beasts had a huge problem: they had vanished long ago during the martial epoch. Occasionally, there were rumors of them, but they were fleeting. It was hard to verify the veracity of them. Without seeing the real thing, no matter how outstanding one was and how talented one was, one's will would lack some charm. Xiao Chen was different. He did not know the grade of the talisman in the clump of light, but it was definitely at least a divine-grade talisman. If he could subdue such a talisman, he could easily injure a true dragon. The master of this talisman should have been someone who stood at the peak of the immortal epoch. Who knew how many holy beasts, divine blood, and all sorts of natural treasures were needed to make such a talisman? Even with the materials prepared, it would take several hundred years to make it. Xiao Chen used this talisman as the manifestation of his will. This was unprecedented in the martial epoch. Even people with higher cultivation than him could not block his sharpness. If the two clashed, Xiao Chen would definitely have the last laugh. Withdraw. Xiao Chen, who had rested for a long time, said softly as he looked at the talisman floating in the air. Then, the will talisman turned into a beam of light and entered Xiao Chen's forehead. The instant the talisman entered his sea of consciousness, Xiao Chen's aura suddenly changed. A formless might spread out without any need for him to circulate it. Right now, if a cultivator with a lower cultivation than Xiao Chen approached him, even if Xiao Chen did not do anything, they would feel mental pressure. Not to mention exchanging glances with Xiao Chen. With just one look, they would feel fear and fear. This was the might of a will. Back then, in the Dragon Burial Mound, the Thunder and Lightning Palaces and Juanxi's will of thunder shocked everyone. Whether it was intentional or not, as long as they were within the range of Juanxi's will, they would be affected, stunned for a moment. It was hard to imagine how the five fiend cultivators, especially Juanxi's enemies, felt at that. If they knew that Juanxi had comprehended a will, no one else would dare to compete with him for the dragon bones. Huh. Xiao Chen, congratulations. Back then, the Thunder Emperor was the youngest genius to comprehend a will in the past 10,000 years. He was already 25. You are 22. And already, Now, spirit. Fiend, Ao Jiao slowly floated down, feeling happy for Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said calmly, now is a once-in-10,000 years age of geniuses. The peak of the martial epoch will arrive again. There will be countless demonic geniuses. The Kunlun realm is so vast. It is possible that no one has comprehended a will earlier. Ao Jiao smiled faintly and said, there is no need to be humble. Oh, right. What is the form of your will? I have never seen it before. I have also never heard of anyone who could make their will form into such a form. The form of the will was very crucial. To a large extent, it would determine the quality of the will, which would affect one's combat prowess. Normally, one's will would form a weapon that they cultivated. That way, it would be more offensive and would also increase the might of their martial techniques. Cultivators with stronger talent would form their will into a living thing, giving it spirituality. It might even form a new life, becoming their own incarnation. The demonic geniuses would set their goals even higher. Their boldness would be unparalleled, directly forming their will into a legendary divine beast. However, the difficulties and challenges they faced would also be greater. The Tianwu domain's three holy masters had a special advantage in this aspect. Their martial spirits were legendary divine beasts. Forming their will into a divine beast was much easier. However, aside from the Lost Dragon's Gate, there were only 3 holy masters in the world. After all, most cultivators' martial spirits were ordinary worldly items. Under normal circumstances, they only had the use of condensing and storing quintessence. The will that Xiao Chen formed was not a weapon or a spirit beast, much less a legendary divine beast. It was a talisman that no one had seen before. When Xiao Chen heard this, he felt it was strange. He asked, "The Thunder King did not see the true appearance of that divine lightning back then?" Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "No. Back then, the Thunder King was just a martial sage. The small 1,000 realms were too far away. With his perception, he could only see thousands of dragon-shaped lightning bolts. He did not see the true divine lightning." This was not strange. Xiao Chen had relied on his spiritual sense and risked his life thousands of times before he saw the true appearance of the divine lightning. However, when he saw the true appearance of the divine lightning, it dispelled another of Xiao Chen's guesses. This divine lightning was not left behind by a martial god. Whether martial gods existed in the world was still a mystery. This divine lightning could not prove anything. After giving a simple explanation of why the talisman turned into this, Xiao Chen started to familiarize himself with the changes in his strength after comprehending a will. Ao Jiao smiled faintly and resumed her cultivation. This place would be of great help to her recovery. She could not waste any time. Then, Xiao Chen checked his heavenly sage laws. There were 100 heavenly sage laws. The number had not changed. However, due to his will, they had become thicker. From the thickness of a pinky finger, they had grown to the thickness of a thumb. The baptism of the divine lightning on his will seemed to affect his heavenly sage laws as well, making them even more resilient. As the heavenly sage laws danced, they felt very powerful. They even contained the might of a will. If Xiao Chen ran into that Xian clan senior elder again, he would be able to instantly crush the other party in terms of the strength of his heavenly sage laws, mercilessly shattering the other party's heavenly sage laws. In another 6 months, the appointed time with Bai Wuxue would arrive. With Xiao Chen's talent, he would definitely not stop advancing. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen decided not to rush out. He would cultivate here for 3 months, strengthening his quintessence further and using the special environment of this place to stabilize his cultivation. At the same time, he would comprehend the movement technique, thunder steps, that he obtained from Mo Lingtian. The first time Xiao Chen saw Mo Lingtian execute thunder steps' explosive increase in speed, he felt very interested. He felt that there were many things he could learn from it. Although there was only one move of the Kunpeng fist that the Heavenly Rock King left behind, Xiao Chen still had to make some time to learn it. Furthermore, he had not purified that dark painting piece yet. Before he left, he had to make some time to purify it. As for when he would absorb it, that was another matter. 3 months might seem like a lot, but when he thought about it, he did not have much time to waste. However, Xiao Chen did not know that the Silver Moon Spirit Fox race did not intend to let him off. As long as he left, he would face 3 bona fide inferior-grade martial sages. The hazy white fog lingered all year round. In the past 10,000 years, no one had heard of anyone coming out of misleading Fog Lake. What was in the lake? Why did it cause people to get lost? The Forbidden Land, misleading Fog Lake, had always been filled with all sorts of mysteries in the vast and boundless fiend domain. Throughout history, there had been several sovereign martial emperors who wanted to explore it. However, after they delved 10 kilometers, they did not dare to advance any further. These sovereign martial emperors could clearly sense that the thing in the center of the lake already surpassed that of a sovereign martial emperor. It might be related to the legendary true god or a powerful expert from the previous epoch. This was not something they could take the risk to find out. At this moment, the 3 Xian clan senior elders led dozens of Xian clan half-sages on the shore, chatting listlessly. Although the first elder, Xian Feng, had given the mission of guarding this place for 3 months, everyone knew that this was just for show, to appease the clan head's anger. Even Emperor Wu could not come out of this misleading fog lake. How could an insignificant half-sage do so? If he really did come out, the entire fiend domain would be shaken. Huh. Xian Feng, you are really capable. You could not even catch an insignificant half-sage, causing us to sit here for 3 months. There were 3 Xian clan senior elders here. Aside from Xian Feng, who fought with Xiao Chen earlier, there were also Xian Yi and Xian Shui. The one who spoke was Xian Shui, who had always been at odds with Xian Feng. The 10 half-sages behind all showed unhappy expressions. However, due to Xian Feng's status, they could not say anything. 40 half-sages and 3 martial sages. For the sake of killing Xiao Chen, the Xian clan had put in a lot of effort. It looked like Xian Yu's death had truly angered the Xian clan's clan head. Such a force was equivalent to a third of the Xian clan's strength. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen hid in misleading Fog Lake, leaving this strong team with nowhere to go. They could only sit here and do nothing. However, they could not disobey orders and leave on their own. Xian Feng said angrily, "Xian Yi, what is the meaning of this? Earlier, you mocked me in front of the first elder. I already endured it. Yet, you still dare to mock me?" Xian Shui retorted, "Did I say anything wrong? If not for your strength being average, how could you give that brat the chance to enter misleading Fog Lake? Why would we waste 3 months? The fight with Xiao Chen had already made Xian Feng extremely depressed in the first place. He no longer had a good temper. He shouted, "If you are capable, then charge in and bring out that brat's head." Seeing the two arguing intensifying, Xian Yi had no choice but to be the peacemaker. She said, "All right, stop arguing. The deadline will be up when the sun sets today. This brat will definitely die if he enters misleading Fog Lake. At least we can report to the clan head. Doyens, there seems to be some movement in there." Just at this moment, one of the Xian clan half-sages in the back suddenly said uncomfortably. Xian Feng and the other two stopped talking and looked in the direction the half-sage pointed. They saw a formless sword flying over the dense fog in the distance, splitting it in half like a canvas. "This is..." Xian Feng's expression froze. Suddenly, a bad feeling welled up in his heart. The fog in front parted automatically, and a figure that Xian Feng did not want to see the most appeared. He had delicate facial features, fluttering white clothes, long black hair, and a pair of deep and boundless eyes. Chapter 775. Xiao Chen's expression was as calm as ever, without any fluctuations. The 3 Xian clan senior elders and the 40 half-sages behind them were all stunned. Their eyes widened in disbelief at the scene before them. Xiao Chen, whom everyone thought was dead, actually walked out of misleading Fog Lake. Even Emperor Wu could not. Yet, an insignificant half-sage like him managed to walk out. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. When he saw the lineup at the shore, he was startled as well. 3 martial sages and 40 half-sages. Unexpectedly, the Xian clan mobilized so many people to wait for him for 3 months. They are really extraordinarily patient. Xiao Chen's lips curled up in a strange smile. However, while the lineup looked large, the ones that Xiao Chen truly needed to pay attention to were the 3 Xian clan senior elders. The 40 half-sages all had varying strengths. Several of them had not even comprehended heavenly sage laws. Right now, Xiao Chen could easily crush such cultivators with a casual punch. No matter how many of them there were, it would be pointless. Whoosh! Xiao Chen gently pushed off the water, and a clump of electric light exploded out. A blue dragon seemed to soar up from the center of the electric light. In these 3 months, Xiao Chen had not only completely comprehended thunder steps, but he had also creatively merged it with his azure dragon cloud soaring art. Now, Xiao Chen's speed was more than twice as fast as before he entered misleading Fog Lake. To everyone's eyes, Xiao Chen seemed to teleport, traversing a kilometer and arriving at the shore. Xiao Chen raised his eyes and looked around. The 40 half-sages immediately felt a strange pressure invading their minds, forcing them to take a step back unconsciously. Fear spread in their hearts as they looked at Xiao Chen, trembling slightly. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and looked at Xian Feng. "Old man, you have not left yet. That punch on your chest should no longer hurt, right?" Xiao Chen did not show any fear before the 3 martial sages, casually mocking Xian Feng. "It's good that you came out. Today, I will definitely kill you with my own hands." The flame of hatred in Xian Feng's eyes erupted like a volcano. Xiao Chen's words ignited it, and more than 100 heavenly sage laws instantly poured into his hand. It formed a huge might and pressure as it charged at Xiao Chen with its full power. 99 ice roaming dragons danced around Xiao Chen's body. Before Xiao Chen arrived, an icy aura surged towards Xiao Chen like an ocean. With his previous experience, Xian Feng did not plan to hold back the moment he started. He directly used his trump card. Xian Shui and Xian Yi frowned slightly when they saw this scene. They exchanged glances with each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Wasn't it just a half-saint? Even if he was a monstrous genius, there was no need for him to use his trump card at the beginning of the battle. It was like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and watched Xian Feng fly over like a gushing river. A vigorous fighting spirit blazed in his eyes. After comprehending a will and cultivating bitterly for 3 months, Xiao Chen's strength had increased explosively. He could use this group of people as practice. The 100 thick purple heavenly sage laws in Xiao Chen's body merged like 100 tributaries and poured into his right fist. Kuan Peng Fist. Xiao Chen roared ferociously. Suddenly, a strong wind blew behind him. A boundless aura followed the strong wind and surged forward. In an instant, that vast tsunami-like cold chi was completely washed away. The Kuan Peng was a legendary immortal beast. It was thousands of kilometers long and wide. Its wings could cover the sky, allowing it to fly 5,000 kilometers in one breath. As the saying went, when the Kuan Peng spread its wings and soared into the clouds, it hated that the sky was too low for it to fly. A huge shadow suddenly cast down, and the curtain of night suddenly fell. Everyone looked up in shock. At some point in time, an incredibly huge divine bird had appeared in the sky behind Xiao Chen. The huge shadow came from this bird. A vast and boundless state instantly spread in everyone's hearts. The instant the Kuan Peng spread its wings in the sky, Xiao Chen gently leaped up as well. At the same time, he leaped up and clashed with Xian Feng's trump card. Bang! A surging force burst forth from Xiao Chen's fist. Bang! 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 Explosions resounded without end as the ice dragons around Xian Feng's body exploded. The ice dragons around Xian Feng shattered one by one and turned into vast cold chi spreading everywhere. Frost instantly covered the surrounding 1 kilometer. Every time an ice dragon was destroyed, the color on Xian Feng's face became a little weaker. In terms of strength, Xiao Chen did not even need to use deities descending to firmly suppress Xian Feng. The 99 ice dragons shattered in an instant. It was so fast that even Xian Shui and Xian Yi, who were behind, could not react. Scram! Xiao Chen roared and took another step forward. The mark on his forehead flickered. The mark on his forehead flickered, and the light of his will spread out. The mark on his forehead flickered, and the 40-odd half-sages behind felt like thunder roared in their minds. They fell into a lightning-attributed illusion and cried out in horror. Xian Shui and Xian Yi, the 2 inferior-grade martial sages, felt their minds buzz, and they were momentarily at a loss. Xian Feng, who was in the lead, was in an even more sorry state. Extreme horror appeared on his pale face. As he watched Xiao Chen press forward, he did not react at all. Bang! Xiao Chen kicked the air and landed a kick on the Xian clan half-sage's chin. The bona fide inferior-grade martial sage's body flew up like a sandbag, crashing into several Xian clan half-sages trapped in the lightning illusion. The huge shadow slowly vanished. After all, the Kuan Peng was not a true Kuan Peng. It was just a mysterious phenomenon that Xiao Chen created using his quintessence, heavenly sage laws, and will. Maintaining such a majestic and imposing mysterious phenomenon was not something an ordinary person could do. Even if a regular inferior-grade martial sage obtained the Kuan Peng Fist's martial technique, they would not comprehend a will. Even if they could forcefully create such a mysterious phenomenon, it would just be for show. These inferior-grade martial sages would not be able to bring out a mysterious phenomenon like what Xiao Chen did, making them feel insignificant. The shadow vanished, and sunlight shone on the ground once again. The blazing sun's faint light shone on Xiao Chen's pure white clothes. The wind continued to blow, and the hair on Xiao Chen's forehead fluttered. His delicate facial features appeared before everyone's eyes. One punch, the full-powered strike of an inferior-grade martial sage. Xiao Chen exploded his opponent with one punch. It looked like no one knew how much strength he had used. Xian Shui and Xian Yi felt their throats go dry. Their throats squirmed uncontrollably, and they appeared somewhat stunned. Rumble. The sound of Xian Feng falling to the ground was accompanied by miserable cries. This jolted the two out of their daze. They shouted, "Attack together! Quickly kill him!" The 40 half-sages of the Xian clan were people who had experienced many battles. No matter what, they were half-sages. After they struggled free from the illusions, they heard the senior elder's order and immediately attacked decisively. At the same time, they revealed their true forms and charged at Xiao Chen. After the fiend race took human form, revealing their true forms exhausted a lot of quintessence. Unless they were forced into dire straits, they would not reveal their true forms. Now that they faced Xiao Chen, who had comprehended a will, they would not be able to do anything without revealing their true forms. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. Faced with 40 fiend race half-sages in their true forms, the previous him would have been forced to flee in a sorry state. However, so what if he revealed his true form now? Against Xiao Chen, who comprehended the immortal will of thunder and had 100 thumb-thick heavenly sage laws, it was like an ant trying to shake a tree, a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Myriad heaven divine fist, chains of deities. Xiao Chen used up all his energy, vital qi, and mental energy at the same time. He punched 3 times at the 40-odd spirit foxes in the air. Ka Xie! Ka Xie! Chains with divine scripts flowing on them appeared out of nowhere, looking like berserk dragons. The chains danced around chaotically, like a group of dragons fighting each other. The spirit foxes were easily bound, unable to move. More than 40 spirit foxes were bundled together, looking like a small hill. It was a frightening sight. The divine scripts flowed with light, and a fiery sealing power swept across the group of fiend race half-sages in their true forms. Miserable cries rang out. Xiao Chen's gaze turned cold, not showing any mercy at all. He had killed Xian Yu. Now, he had established a grudge with the Xian clan. This grudge would not rest until he was dead. The Xian clan would not let him off. In that case, Xiao Chen did not need to show mercy. He stretched out his hand, and a large net-like chain formed by the divine script half-sages slid out. Then, he caught one of the chains. Before Xian Shui and Xian Ye's shocked gazes, Xiao Chen raised the divine script chain in his hand and tossed the Xian clan half-sages into the mound. Then, he used it as a weapon, smashing it at the two. Hu Qi! A whistling sound rang out, and Xian Shui and Xian Yi paled in fright as they quickly dodged. Xiao Chen leaped into the air, and electric light burst out under his feet. His figure flickered as he swung the half-sages bound by the divine script chain, smashing them at the two. Xian Shui and Xian Yi dodged as they cursed. This fellow was actually so bold, using their clansmen as weapons. Clearly, the mountain of flesh flying over was very strong. Even the two of them did not dare to clash head-on. More importantly, these were their clansmen. The more they resisted, the more severely injured the Xian clan would be. This would have nothing to do with Xiao Chen. Little bastard, stop right now. Stop right now, and we can give you a quick death. Xiao Chen did not even know who had the upper hand, yet these two were still so stubborn. He could not be bothered with them. His figure flashed as he continued swinging the chains. Rumble. The bound half-sages continuously fell to the ground. Deep pits appeared, dust kicked up, and cracks appeared in the ground. This showed how heavy Xiao Chen's attacks were. Bang! Xiao Chen felt like he had hit a person. When he looked carefully, he could not help but smile. It turned out that Xian Feng, who had clashed head-on with Xiao Chen and suffered a crushing defeat, wanted to take advantage of the chaos to flee. In the end, he got accidentally injured by Xiao Chen, and the mountain-sized meatball smashed into his severely injured body. Xian Feng cried out in pain and vomited a mouthful of blood. Then, he fell to the ground and fainted. Xiao Chen had not done this on purpose. He had crashed into the meatball himself. Suddenly, he felt his hand lighten. The quintessence of the Xian clan half-sages bound by the divine chain was drained, and they all recovered their human form. Xiao Chen's lips curled up as he casually tossed them away like they were trash. Whoosh! Xian Shui and Xian Yi narrowed their eyes and focused their killing qi. They no longer held back and immediately charged over. The two inferior-grade martial sages worked together and executed their killing moves. A cold wind blew, and their auras turned cold. Chapter 776. The mark on Xiao Chen's forehead flickered, and he leaped into the air, charging over without fear. Xiao Chen's fists danced as he executed the myriad heaven divine fist. A sagely song resounded in the surroundings. Bang! Quintessence surged, and a strong wind howled. 3 figures flashed in the air, clashing with each other. The sound of their exchange resounded like thunder. Relying on the might of his will, Xiao Chen did not fall into a disadvantage. In fact, he even held the upper hand, forcing Xian Shui and Xuanye to retreat step by step. The light of the immortal will of thunder brought with it a mental pressure, making it difficult for them to even breathe. Purple light flickered behind Xiao Chen, and electric light danced around. It was like he stood on a sea of lightning. The two states crumbled upon contact, they could not compete with him at all. Radiance of deities! Xiao Chen shouted, and his fist glowed with a light like the sun. A vast pillar of light containing the immortal will of thunder charged over ferociously. The defensive martial techniques that Xuanye and Xianshui used earlier were scattered. Blood leaked out of the corners of their mouths as they were knocked back 5 kilometers. Xiao Chen chased them closely. He completely released the light of his will. His long hair fluttered, and his white robes fluttered. He looked like an ancient immortal. After exchanging another 100 moves, the two's heavenly sage laws were not as resilient as Xiao Chen's. They also did not comprehend a will. They could not bring out their advantage in experience. They kept retreating. The setting sun looked like blood. A strange scene appeared on the shore of misleading Fog Lake. A half-sage chased after 2 inferior-grade martial sages in a sorry state. Boom! The two no longer dared to hold back. They steeled themselves and revealed their true forms at the same time. Immediately, 2 20-meter-tall, 100-meter-long 3-tailed spirit foxes glowed red as they stared at Xiao Chen ferociously. Xiao Chen's expression sank. He stood in the air and stopped chasing. When they revealed their true forms, the two's offensive power would double. When they worked together, they would be quite strong. The 3 tails of the 2 spirit foxes stood straight, and their auras surged out. Under the pressure of their auras, dust particles slowly floated up. Roar! The 2 spirit foxes roared and leaped into the air. They charged at Xiao Chen with all their might. Xian Yi and Xian Shui's aura was as heavy as a mountain, and the wind howled. After Xian Yi and Xian Shui revealed their true forms, their auras rose crazily, suppressing Xiao Chen so much that he almost couldn't help but retreat. Finish this quickly. Xiao Chen made up his mind, and the mark on his forehead released a dazzling light. It was the purple talisman representing the immortal will of thunder. With a poochie sound, he escaped. Purple lightning flickered incessantly as a boundless might burst forth, suppressing the auras of the two in an instant. Bang! Like a flickering meteor, the purple talisman emitted resplendent and immortal electric light. Profound water and profound leaf were struck by the talisman one after another. Unsurprisingly, the two of them were blasted away without the slightest ability to resist. They landed in a faraway place. Dust flew up, and Xian Shui and Xian Yi reverted to their human forms. They vomited a large mouthful of blood as they looked at Xiao Chen in the distance. Their eyes filled with horror. We have to inform the clan head. This fellow is a demonic genius. Now that he comprehended a will, we ordinary inferior grade martial sages are no match for him. The two immediately turned around and fled, not daring to linger any longer. As Xiao Chen watched the two leave, he shook his head and did not give chase. If he used his newly comprehended movement technique, he would definitely be able to catch up to them within an hour. However, this was the fiend domain after all. If he continued fighting, he might attract some fiend domain experts over, and there would be trouble. Xiao Chen withdrew the talisman and landed on the ground. Then, he collected the spatial rings of the 40 half-sages and Xian Feng's spatial ring. Then, he quickly left this place. Before Xiao Chen had time to look at the spatial rings of the 30 half-sages he obtained 3 months ago, he obtained another 40 half-sages spatial rings and even an inferior grade martial sage's spatial ring. If Xiao Chen sorted them out, he would definitely earn a vast fortune. Not long after Xiao Chen left, a stout man landed on the shore of misleading Fog Lake. He wore tiger robes and had thick eyebrows and large eyes. His eyes were like lightning, shining brightly. More than 500 heavenly sage laws appeared behind him, each as thick as a baby's arm. As they moved, they gave off a berserk aura. 500 heavenly sage laws was already the maximum that an inferior grade martial sage could condense. Based on the thickness of this person's heavenly sage laws, it was clear that he had been stuck at peak inferior grade martial sage for many years. Otherwise, his heavenly sage laws would not have been so thick. The stout man looked at the naked corpses and tattered clothes on the ground. He frowned slightly and muttered, "It's the people of the Silver Moon Spirit Fox Race's Xian clan." Even after they revealed their true forms, they still ended up in such a sorry state. "Hey!" The stout man narrowed his eyes and noticed Xian Feng's body. He flew forward and observed him for a while before entering deep thought. Xian Feng's injuries were very severe, especially his internal injuries. His internal organs seemed to have been forcefully torn apart by a huge force. However, this was not the cause of Xian Feng's death. The cause of his death was a finger-sized bloody hole in his forehead. When the stout man saw Xian Feng's empty finger, a scene appeared in his mind. A man with a cold expression had taken away Xian Feng's spatial ring. Then, that man had casually pointed a finger and pierced through Xian Feng's forehead. The 40 half-sages had all died the same way. This showed that this person was indifferent and did not care about life or death. He was very decisive when it came to killing and snatching treasures. Why would someone who can easily suppress this group of Xian clan cultivators be interested in the treasures of some half-sages? The stout man looked at the nearby misleading Fog Lake and entered deep thought. He checked his surroundings but could not figure out what was going on, so he could only helplessly leave this place. After the stout man left, several figures with auras no weaker than his landed. All of them had sinister gazes. They all noticed the strangeness of the matter. Fortunately, Xiao Chen had not been greedy. Otherwise, if he had delayed the two Xian clan martial sages for a while longer, he might have ended up in trouble. As Xiao Chen advanced, electric light exploded under his feet, and the blue dragon soared up. In an instant, he crossed 5 kilometers. Furthermore, he had not even used his full power yet. If Xiao Chen traveled at full speed, not caring about his quintessence consumption, he could cross 10 kilometers in one breath. After traveling for 400 kilometers, Xiao Chen found a secluded place and stopped. He needed to sort out the spatial rings he had collected in the past few days. He had 70 half-sages spatial rings and one inferior grade martial sage's spatial ring. Together, they would be a huge sum. After going through the spatial rings of the 70 half-sages, Xiao Chen mainly looked at the astral coins. After all, it was impossible for these half-sages to have any powerful treasures. If they did, they would have used them long ago. The strength of each half-sage was different. Their wealth varied as well. With 70 half-sages, Xiao Chen had about 3 million astral coins. In an instant, this more than doubled Xiao Chen's wealth, reaching 5 million astral coins. Refining the breaking sage pill required many precious materials. It would be hard to avoid using large amounts of astral coins. Furthermore, there were the last 5 layers of the firmament body tempering art. Each layer required a powerful treasure, which was also a large sum of astral coins. Right now, Xiaoqun urgently needed astral coins. Furthermore, the more, the better. Finally, Xiaoqun checked the spatial ring on Xian Feng's hand. As an inferior-grade martial sage, this fellow should not be as poor as the half-sage. Indeed, Xiaoqun found 1,500,000 astral coins in there. He placed all the astral coins in his universe ring, totaling 6,500,000 astral coins. If Xiaoqun sold the miscellaneous items of these people, he could obtain another 500,000 astral coins. Right now, Xiaoqun's wealth was equivalent to 7 million astral coins. After tidying up everything, Xiaoqun started to think about his earlier fight with the 3 martial sages. These 3 inferior-grade martial sages had ordinary talent. They were at least 200 years old. However, they were still stuck at early-stage inferior-grade martial sage. Honestly speaking, Xiaoqun did not feel much of a sense of accomplishment when he defeated these people. Before Xiaoqun comprehended a will, he could already easily deal with Xian Feng. After comprehending a will, his strength increased explosively in all aspects. Furthermore, he could not defeat 3 inferior-grade martial sages who were about as strong as Xian Feng. That would be too much. Xiaoqun wondered how the strength of the 7 giants of the Tianwu domain had changed. They were all demonic geniuses. Even if the 7 giants did not have any fortuitous encounters, they should not have stagnated. However, no matter how much Xiaoqun improved, he dared to fight them fairly. Aside from Enjuanxi, he was 80% confident of defeating them. In the past, Bai Wushue's great icy palm imprint had reduced Xiaoqun to a sorry state, forcing him to use his full power to block. Now that the 1-year promise was drawing near, it was time to give Bai Wushue a pleasant surprise. When Xiaoqun thought of Bai Wushue's disdain for him in the past, a fierce flame blazed in his eyes. Collecting his thoughts, a magnificent clump of light appeared in Xiaoqun's palm. That was the dark painting piece of the great rock spreading wings painting. However, at this moment, the dark aura was gone. Xiaoqun did not feel any discomfort holding it in his palm. A spiritual light surged, making him feel very comfortable. The divine lightning had already purified the dark aura. If Xiaoqun wanted to absorb it, he could do so now. However, Ao Jiao suggested that Xiaoqun not absorb it for now. The core painting piece had been split into 2. Like before, there were only 3 choices. If he could merge the 2 pieces together, he would have 10 choices. If that Ing Qiong sensed that the core painting piece he obtained was not complete, he would definitely not be in a rush to absorb it. In the future, if Xiaoqun ran into Ing Qiong, he might have a chance to merge the 2 pieces back into 1. Let's return to Hunluo City first. There are still some things that I have not dealt with there. Xiaoqun put away the core painting piece and looked in the direction of the distant Hunluo province as he spoke calmly. Just as Xiaoqun was about to set off, Ao Jiao said, "Xiaoqun, do you feel that even though your strength has increased greatly recently, you have forgotten some of the purest things?" "What did I forget?" Xiaoqun asked out of curiosity as he stopped walking. Ao Jiao replied with a serious expression, "You forgot your saber. You forgot that you are a bladesman. Ever since you started cultivating the myriad heaven divine fist, this tendency has become somewhat serious. The myriad heaven divine fist allowed your vast, dormant mental energy to be put to use. However, you are too engrossed in it. Now that you have comprehended the immortal will of thunder, you like to use strength to suppress your opponent. Have you ever thought about how you would deal with such a peerless monster if you were to encounter him? For example, Yan Shisan, and Juanxi, or the son of the 3 holy masters. They have also comprehended a will, and their strength is no weaker than yours. Some are even stronger than yours." Chapter 777. What are you going to do? Are you going to use your strength to crush them? If you think that way, I'm afraid you'll be defeated in 1 round. Ao Jiao's cold words were like a cold water splashed on Xiaoqun's body, causing him to feel a chill down his spine. Just a moment ago, he was still immersed in the joy of his huge harvest, but now, all of a sudden, he felt an indescribable fear in his heart. People needed to wake up by themselves, but how many people could truly wake up by themselves? Their strength and achievements increased crazily. Sometimes, you don't even notice it yourself, but you're already so engrossed in it that you think you're awake. Xiaochen frowned bitterly and stretched out his hand. The lunar shadow saber appeared in his right hand. He vaguely felt a sense of unfamiliarity. Since you are a bladesman, why do you need to use these unorthodox methods of the god race? Suddenly, Xiaochen recalled what Yan Shisan said to him. At that time, he did not think much of it, thinking that Yan Shisan misunderstood and underestimated him. Actually, the other party was feeling pity for Xiaochen. The onlooker sees more clearly than the person involved. If Xiaochen walked further down this path, no one would remember the white-robed bladesman of the past. Even if he could obtain a brief moment of glory, he would not be able to go far on the path of martial arts if he abandoned his foundation. After a long time, Xiaochen sighed and said with a serious expression, "Many thanks, Ao Jiao. My saber will never give up. I, Xiaochen, will always be a bladesman." Ao Jiao smiled faintly and didn't say anything else. Since ancient times, sages and sages were all lonely. They either went crazy in loneliness or reached the peak in loneliness. She believed. She had always believed that Xiaochen was the latter. Rushing Thunder Saber Technique, Lingyun Saber Technique, Wukuei Saber Technique, Four Seasons Saber Technique, Lightning Tribulation Saber Technique, Dragon Subduing Slash. In merely 4 years in the Sky Dome realm, Xiaochen had practiced so many saber techniques. Aside from the Dragon Subduing Slash, he had practiced the other 5 saber techniques to great perfection. Xiaochen counted the saber techniques that he had learned in the past few years. Each saber technique represented a past event. Scenes of the past appeared in Xiaochen's mind. The Rushing Thunder Saber Technique, the promise of 10 years in Mo City. Using this saber technique, he defeated the young clan heads of the Zhang and Tang clans. Lingyun Saber Technique. In the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Xiaochen had relied on this saber technique to defeat the core disciples of the other peaks in one fell swoop. Xiaochen took the top spot, fighting for Qingyun Peak and Lu Ryue's honor in front of everyone. Later on, when the Phoenix's Passion Palace's envoy arrived at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Mu Qingxue exposed his identity. The Wukuei Saber technique allowed him to defeat the disciples of various noble clans. From then on, the title of White-Robed Bladesman spread like wildfire. Comprehending the 4-season saber technique in one move made Xiaochen famous. During the 5-Nation Youth Competition, he used this saber technique to defeat the outstanding talents of the Sky Dome realm. His path was filled with glory, and his saber skills improved by leaps and bounds. However, after more than a year in the Kunlun realm, Xiaochen's cultivation of his saber skills showed signs of stagnating. The reason was not hard to explain. Although Xiaochen had joined the Haotian sect, he had never attended an elder's lecture. There were no masters proficient in the saber in the sect either, who were worthy of Xiaochen's admiration. At Xiaochen's current cultivation realm, he still had to rely on his own comprehension. Taking large strides forward would definitely be difficult. Secondly, out of all the saber techniques that Xiaochen grasped, only the Dragon Subduing Slash caught his attention. However, a saber technique at the level of the Dragon Subduing Slash was not like the saber techniques of the past, where he could comprehend it with just one look. Every move had its own deep meaning. Normally, comprehending one move would take a long time. There were even some mysteries that, without a fortuitous encounter, one would not be able to comprehend no matter how much time one spent. Furthermore, with the appearance of the myriad Heaven Divine Fist, Xiaochen unknowingly distanced himself from the Dragon Subduing Slash. When Xiaochen heard what Ao Jiao said, he found it somewhat inconceivable. How could he have forgotten his identity as a bladesman? However, when he thought about it carefully, everything made sense. Even without the myriad Heaven Divine Fist, if Xiaochen did not wake up to it, his identity as a bladesman would drift further and further away. Now that he had found the problem, the solution was not far away. After thinking for a long time, Xiao Chen more or less figured out where the problem lay. Xiao Chen had to systematically learn a saber technique that was compatible with his current cultivation realm. Furthermore, when he reached the martial sage realm, it would not be outdated. This saber technique could not be like the dragon's subduing slash, which could only be used as a killing move. It could be executed as easily as the four-season saber technique. Martial techniques had always been expensive. Without a large amount of astral coins, he would not be able to purchase a martial technique that suited Xiao Chen's requirements. Even if he had money, he would not be able to buy it. However, Xiao Chen already had a vague idea. There was no need to worry too much about how to obtain this saber technique. 10 days later, Hunluo Province's provincial capital, Hunluo City, appeared before Xiao Chen's eyes once again. Tall, majestic city walls, cultivators moving in a hurry, cultivators exuding baleful auras, and chaotic battles were everywhere. Like before, this place had not changed at all. Fighting and killing were very normal in Hunluo City. It would be strange if there were no such things. Just as Xiao Chen was about to enter the city, he squinted and exclaimed softly. He stopped and looked at a battle. One side wore the uniform of the Eternal Heavenly Sword School. There were more people there, about 50 or 60 of them. Most of them were early-stage superior-grade martial monarchs. The other side had only 2 people. Furthermore, with one look, it was clear that they were not local cultivators of Hunluo Province. One of them brandished a halberd. As he walked, he exuded might. Every move he made was straightforward. No one could get within 5 steps of him. The other person used a saber. His saber techniques were exquisite and exquisite. As the saber light flickered, blood spurted out and miserable cries resounded. The Eternal Heavenly Sword School had the advantage in numbers. However, these 2 people firmly controlled the flow of the battle. In less than 2 hours, they would all be wiped out. The people of the Eternal Heavenly Sword School understood this as well. However, they did not scatter. Instead, they persistently held the 2 people back, not letting them leave. With one glance, Xiao Chen figured out what the other party was planning. The Eternal Heavenly Sword School was one of the 6 major sects of Hunluo Province. Its branch in the city would definitely be significant. If things went wrong, there might even be a martial sage. Even if a martial sage did not come, just a few half-sages would come. Even a peak superior-grade martial monarch would not have a good ending. Xiao Chen smiled in disappointment and frustration. Unexpectedly, he could run into some old acquaintances here. These 2 people were none other than the Sky Dome realms Bai Qi and Shenyuan Zhantian. Since they parted at Bushin Palace, Xiao Chen had not seen them for more than a year already. Naturally, Bai Qi and Shenyuan Zhantian, who were surrounded, were not fools. They knew what these Eternal Heavenly Sword School disciples were planning. They tried to charge out several times but failed every time. The longer this dragged on, the more grave their expressions became. If the Eternal Heavenly Sword School's half-sages arrived, it would be difficult for the 2 to leave. Just at this moment, thunder suddenly roared. A flickering electric light tore through the sky, dazzling everyone. The many Eternal Heavenly Sword School disciples could not help but feel a cold wind containing killing chi. When they looked back, a boundless saber chi immediately entered their eyes. The saber chi gave off a bright light. They seemed to see a blurry white figure behind it, holding a saber with one hand. A black wind blew, and his robes fluttered. Before the Eternal Heavenly Sword School disciples could react, the purple saber chi flew out like a rainbow piercing through the sun and chopped the Eternal Heavenly Sword School disciples in half. A scarlet light shot out, and the saber chi disappeared in a flash. The 10-odd cultivators in front of them all died in one strike. Quick, run! The remaining Eternal Heavenly Sword School disciples cried out in horror. They no longer dared to linger, fleeing for the city. The strong wind did not stop. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber and walked over to Bai Wuxue and Shenyuan Zhantian. Then, he smiled faintly. Xiao Chen. When Bai Qi and Xianyuan Zhantian saw that the person who attacked was Xiao Chen, they were stunned. Clearly, they had not expected to meet him here. At a table by the window of an inn in Hunluo City, Xiao Chen, Bai Qi, and Xianyuan Zhantian drank wine and chatted casually. From their conversation, Xiao Chen learned that Bai Qi and Xianyuan Zhantian had joined the same 9 ranks of the great families. They had done well in the past year, successfully becoming true inheritors. However, the competition in the Kunlun realm was much greater than in the Sky Dome realm. The glory of the past had faded away long ago, and they had to start all over again. This time, the two had come to Hunluo province for a sect mission, to hunt a desolate dragon. Who knew, after they killed the desolate dragon, they would run into an eternal heavenly sword school disciple for some reason. Without saying anything, the other party demanded that the two hand over the desolate dragon's remains. The desolate dragon's remains were for the mission. Naturally, the two refused, so a conflict erupted between them. This resulted in the scene that Xiao Chen saw. The desolate dragon was a subdragon that contained the blood of a true dragon. In a situation where one could not find the remains of a true dragon, the desolate dragon's remains were a pretty good substitute. Think about the geniuses of our Sky Dome realm. After the 5-nation youth competition, they were all in high spirits, preparing to show off their skills in the Kunlun realm. Unfortunately, after more than a year, they are all unknown. Some of them even ended up in miserable states. Only you, Xiao Chen, are still that absolute genius from back then. As a martial monarch, you dared to challenge one of the 7 giants, Bai Wuxue, and even obtained his acknowledgement. Now, very few people in the Tianwu domain do not know your name. Bai Qi sighed as he picked up his wine cup and took a sip. Back then, although Xiao Chen was stronger than Bai Qi, it was not as if he could not catch up. However, in the Kunlun realm, their cultivations and reputations seemed to never be on the same level. When Xianyuan Zhantian spoke of the past, he also felt somewhat sad. This Eastern Sea's little dragon king, who once comprehended the state of kingship, was now like a true dragon trapped in the shallows. Before a large group of geniuses who were much stronger than him, his state of kingship became a joke, receiving many blows and mockery. For Xianyuan Zhantian to be able to make it this far without collapsing was because he still had a proud heart. He had not forgotten his past glory and his goal. However, he had no idea how long he could last. Very few people in the Kunlun realm dared to use the state of kingship as their foundation. The more flourishing the age, the more demonic geniuses there were, the harder this path would be. Xiao Chen did not know what to say. He changed the topic and asked, "Are there any major changes in the Tianwu domain now?" There were still 2 months left before Xiao Chen left the Tianwu domain. That would be 1 year away. In the past, 1 year might have passed in the blink of an eye. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.